The notification popped up while I was scrubbing toilets at the Marriott. Congratulations to Bethany Chen on her Harvard acceptance. So proud of my brilliant daughter. Hashtag Lugasai admit hashtag Chen Excellence. My aunt's Facebook post had 847 likes. The comments were a symphony of privilege, country club friends praising Bethany's dedication, relatives I'd never met claiming good genes, and my own parents hitting the heart reaction because what else could they do? I set down my cleaning supplies and opened Instagram. There she was, my cousin, my childhood best friend, the girl I'd tutored through pre-calc, posing in front of Johnston Gate in a Harvard hoodie that should have been mine. The caption read, "Some people are meant for the Ivy League, others aren't. Natural selection, baby." But I knew what she really meant. We both did. My name is Iris Chen, and 4 years ago, I scored a perfect S8. Not almost perfect, perfect, 1600. Plus 3 800s on subject tests, plus a 36 on my ACT because I was paranoid about testing errors. I was supposed to be the Chen family's American dream realized. The daughter of immigrants who cleaned offices and delivered newspapers, bootstrapping her way to Harvard on merit alone. Instead, I was scrubbing strangers' bathrooms while my cousin lived my life. But today, May 19, 2024, Harvard's Dean of Academic Integrity was about to have an interesting conversation with Bethany Chen. Because I'd waited 4 years for this moment, and revenge tastes better with a diploma she'll never receive. Let me rewind. Growing up, Bethany and I were inseparable despite the economic canyon between us. Her parents owned Chen Industries, importing real estate, the kind of money that compounds. Mine worked for Chen Industries, dad in the warehouse, mom in accounting, the kind of labor that pays bills and nothing more. Every family gathering happened at Bethany's house because ours was too small for entertaining. I wore her hand-me-downs, pretended they were vintage finds. She complained about getting a BMW for her 16th birthday because she'd wanted a Tesla. I took 3 buses to school. But I had something Bethany didn't. A brain that understood patterns, logic, the beautiful certainty of mathematics. While she struggled with basic algebra, I was teaching myself calculus from library books. My teachers started noticing, then advocating, then pushing me toward dreams bigger than our apartment's thin walls could contain. Harvard, Mrs. Peterson said during junior year. You could actually do it, Iris. Full ride. They have programs for students like you. Students like me. Poor but brilliant. Diverse but deserving. The kind of story admissions officers loved, if I could prove it on paper. So I studied. Every morning at 4 a.m. before my shift at the diner. Every break between classes. Every night after helping mom with her English homework for citizenship classes. I turned myself into a testing machine because standardized scores don't care about your zip code. Bethany noticed my transformation. "Why are you killing yourself?" she asked one day, finding me in the library during lunch. "It's not like Harvard accepts charity cases. They accept students with perfect scores," I said quietly. She laughed, that bright, careless sound of someone who'd never worried about anything. "Nobody gets perfect scores, Iris. Be realistic." The night before this essay, she called. "I'm freaking out," she whined. "What if I bomb this? My parents will literally die. Can you come over?" Just to calm me down. I should have said no. Should have protected my sleep, my focus, my future. But she was family, and in my culture, you don't abandon family. I spent 3 hours at her house, walking her through strategies, calming her anxiety, making sure she had the right calculator. Her parents thanked me profusely, slipping a 50 into my hand for gas, even though they knew I'd taken the bus. "You were a good cousin," Aunt Linda said. "Bethany's lucky to have you, even if you're not going to the same kinds of schools." The test itself was a blur of certainty. Every question fell into place like pieces of a puzzle I'd been solving my whole life. I walked out knowing, not hoping, knowing, I'd aced it. Bethany was crying in the parking lot. I totally failed. I couldn't even finish the math section. My life is over. "You did fine," I lied, hugging her. "Scores aren't everything." 6 weeks later, the emails came. I was at work, cleaning room 412, when my phone buzzed. "Your SAT scores are now available." I sat on the unmade bed, hands shaking as I logged in. The page loaded slowly, the Marriott's Wi-Fi struggling. Then, math, 650. Reading, 670 total, 1320. I stared, refreshed, stared again. 1320. That was fine, good at even. But not me, not the girl who'd solved every practice test perfectly, not the brain that dreamed in equations. My phone rang. Bethany screaming. Iris, oh my God, I go to 1600. A perfect SCORE. Can you believe it? The world tilted. What? I know, I thought I failed, but I got PRVC. My parents are freaking out. We're going to Morton's to celebrate. You have to come. I can't. I'm working. Oh, right. Well, how did you do? Fine, I managed. I did fine. Oh, well, not everyone can be a genius, she laughed. Gotta go. Dad's popping champagne. I sat in that hotel room, surrounded by someone else's mess, and tried to understand. Bethany, who couldn't factor a polynomial, who thought Pythagoras was a Greek god, who'd never finished a test section in her life, had scored perfectly, while I... No, this wasn't possible. I called the college board, waited on hold for an hour, finally reached a human. I need to verify my test scores. I think there's been a mistake. Ma'am, score verification requests must be submitted in writing with a $55 fee. Please, can you confirm these are really my scores? Iris Chen, Testing Center 4847. Typing. Pause. I show scores of 650 math, 670 reading for Iris Chen, reported 6 weeks ago. And for Bethany Chen, same testing center. I can't share another student's scores. I hung up, but I knew. Somehow I knew. The how became clear months later, after Bethany's Harvard acceptance, after my rejection from every school that mattered, after I'd enrolled in community college and picked up extra shifts to afford it. Her brother Kevin got drunk at Thanksgiving. Engineering degree, tech job, loose lips. Remember when you hacked the college board for Beth? He laughed to their cousin Marcus. Classic. She owes you forever for that score swap. Marcus, equally drunk, grinned. Easiest hack ever. Their system is ancient. Just had to switch the SNs in the database. Iris's scores to Beth, Beth's to Iris. Boom. Harvard material. They didn't see me in the hallway. Didn't know I'd recorded every word on my phone. Didn't realize they'd just confessed to a federal crime. But I didn't go to the police. Not yet. Because destroying Bethany immediately would be too easy, too merciful. She needed to build her castle first. Needed to climb high enough that the fall would break her. So I waited, and planned, and climbed my own way. Community college to state school to tech job to software engineering. Every skill Marcus had used to steal my future, I learned myself. Plus law, intellectual property, cybercrime, educational fraud. I became an expert in the systems that had failed me. Meanwhile, Bethany documented everything. Instagram stories from Harvard parties, LinkedIn posts about internships she couldn't have earned, Twitter threads about merit and having what it takes. She built her brand on my foundation, never knowing I was undermining every brick. The evidence I gathered was meticulous. The drunk confession, video recorded. Marcus's digital footprint from the hack, he used his home IP, the idiot. Bethany's forged recommendation letters. Yes, she faked those too. Her plagiarized essays, bought from a service I tracked down. Every post where she'd admitted to cheating because everyone does it. But the masterpiece was her senior thesis, The Myth of Meritocracy, How Systemic Advantages Create Success. The irony was delicious. She'd written 97 pages about how privilege compounds while stealing the ultimate privilege from someone without it. Of course, she hadn't actually written it. I found the Joss writer, gotten his confession, documented the payments. 4 years. 4 years of watching her live my dream while I built my case. 4 years of congratulations, and so proud while I smiled and seethed and schemed. Yesterday, I sent everything to Harvard's Dean of Academic Integrity. Not anonymously, with my full name, my real SAID scores, my whole story. Plus the evidence, mountains of it, irrefutable, digital, forensic level proof. The subject line was simple, regarding Bethany Chen, class of 2024. The dean called me personally within 3 hours, then the FBI, then the College Board's fraud division. then reporters who'd somehow gotten wind of the story. But I didn't answer any of them, not yet, because today was May 19th, graduation day, and I wanted to watch it all fall down in real time. I sat in my apartment, laptop open to Bethany's Instagram Live. She was in her cap and gown, glowing with achievement she'd never earned. "Can't believe it's finally here," she gushed to her followers. "Harvard class of 2024. This is what happens when you work hard and—" A knock on her dorm door, muffled voices, the phone shaking as she set it down. "Miss Chen, we need you to come with us. The dean needs to see you immediately. But graduation is in an hour. Now, Ms. Chen." The live feed cut off, but I knew what came next because I'd helped orchestrate it. The long walk to University Hall. The conference room full of administrators, lawyers, federal agents. The evidence laid out like a buffet of her destruction. Her phone started blowing up within minutes. I watched the texts roll in on our family group chat. "Bethany, what's happening? Why are there police at graduation? KLUS now." Then Aunt Linda, directly to me. "Iris, do you know anything about this?" I typed slowly, deliberately. "Yes, I know everything." The silence in the chat was deafening. Then Uncle Robert. "What did you do?" I told the truth, finally. My phone rang. Aunt Linda, hysterical. "How could you?" "She's family. She's graduating today." "She's graduating with my scores," I said calmly. "Living my life. Building her future on theft. It was just a test. You could have retaken it." "Could I? With what money? What time?" "While working 3 jobs because you all decided I wasn't worth helping. We gave you opportunities. You gave me hand-me-downs and condescension. I earned that perfect score. Bethany stole it. And you all knew, didn't you? At some level, you had to know she wasn't capable of." She hung up. The family explosion was immediate and atomic. Cousins choosing sides, aunts and uncles calculating damage. My parents, quiet and dignified, finally speaking up. "We always knew our daughter was special. Now you know it too." By evening, the story was everywhere. Harvard senior expelled hours before graduation for elaborate SAT fraud. Bethany's social media vanished, Instagram, LinkedIn, everything scrubbed. But the internet never forgets. Screenshots spread like wildfire. The best part was Marcus's arrest. Hacking the College Board is a federal crime. He was looking at real prison time. Kevin, who'd known and benefited from similar fraud, was under investigation too. And Bethany, expelled, degree revoked, 4 years erased, her job offer at McKinsey gone, her future rewritten. She called me once from a number I didn't recognize. "I hope you're happy," she sobbed. "You've ruined my life." "No," I corrected. "I gave you back yours. The one where actions have consequences. I'll sue you for defamation." "With what?" "Your parents' money is going to criminal defense lawyers, and truth isn't defamation." "Why now?" Her voice broke. "Why did you wait?" "Because you needed to feel it. Every achievement, every opportunity, every door that opened, you needed to know it was all built on sand. That at any moment, someone could tell the truth and take it all away, just like you did to me. I was young. I was stupid. I was pressured. You were 18, same as me, old enough to choose." She made one last attempt. "We're family, Iris. Doesn't that mean anything?" I thought about it, about shared birthdays and sleepovers, about her teaching me to braid hair and me teaching her fractions, about the moment she decided I was worth less than a test score. "It meant everything," I said, "until you decided it meant nothing." I hung up. The aftermath is still unfolding. The Chen family is in chaos. Sides drawn, lawyers retained, reputations shattered. The story went viral on Reddit, TikTok, everywhere. Other students are coming forward about similar frauds. The College Board is under fire for their security failures. But I'm at peace. Not happy. There's no joy in destroying someone you once loved, but at peace with the justice of it. I never got to Harvard. That door closed forever the day Bethany stole my scores. But I built my own path, earned my own success, and learned something Harvard couldn't teach. Sometimes the best revenge isn't immediate gratification. It's letting someone climb to the highest peak with stolen equipment, then showing the world, at the summit, that they never deserved to be there. Bethany's Instagram bio used to read, Harvard 24 consultant living proof that hard work pays off. Now it's blank, like the diploma she'll never receive, like the future she stole from me and lost for herself. Natural selection, baby. Turns out she was right about one thing: some people aren't meant for the Ivy League. And after 4 years of patient waiting, Harvard finally figured out which one of us that was. The best part? This morning, Harvard's Dean of Admissions called me personally. Ms. Chen, we've reviewed your original application in light of recent revelations. While we can't change the past, we'd like to discuss our new non-traditional student program. It seems Harvard owes you an opportunity. I told them I'd think about it. After all, I've learned the value of making people wait.
I should have known something was wrong when Mom called it a family meeting instead of dinner. My name is Alana, and I'm 29 years old. I design graphics for small businesses, live in a studio apartment that costs too much, and I actually like being single. That last part is apparently my biggest character flaw, according to my family. Alana, honey, sit down, Mom said, gesturing to the chair across from her like I was about to get fired. Dad sat at the head of the table, already looking uncomfortable. My older sister, Kylie, was there, too, bouncing her newest baby while her 2 other kids ran around the living room. "What's this about?" I asked, setting down my purse. I'd driven 40 minutes from the city for this. "We need to talk about your future," Mom said. "Your real future." "Here we go. Susan, maybe we should—" Dad started. "No, Patrick. Someone has to say it." Mom folded her hands. "Alana, you're almost 30. You're still playing around with this art thing, living paycheck to paycheck in that tiny apartment. Don't you think it's time to be practical?" "My art thing pays my bills," I said. "Barely," Kylie chimed in, not looking up from the baby. "And what happens when you get older? When clients stop wanting to work with someone who doesn't have stability?" I stared at her. "Stability like what? A husband who disappears for days at a time." "Eduardo is going through a rough patch," Kylie snapped. "At least I have a family. At least I'm contributing something meaningful to the world." "Girls," Dad said weakly. "That's actually why we asked you here," Mom continued. "Kylie needs help. Real help. The baby isn't sleeping, the older kids are acting out, and Eduardo's work schedule is demanding." I looked between them. "So, get a babysitter. We can't afford a full-time nanny," Kylie said. "And I don't trust strangers with my children." "But you'd trust me?" "Your family," Mom said, like that explained everything. Family helps family. The room went quiet except for the babies fussing and the sound of the other kids arguing over a toy. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" I said. "Move in with Kylie," Mom said. "Help with the kids, the house. You'd still have time to do your little design projects. And Kylie would pay you, of course." "How much?" Kylie and Mom exchanged a look. "We'd work something out," Kylie said. "Room and board, plus some spending money." "Spending money?" I laughed. "I make $4,000 a month. You want me to give that up for spending money?" "4,000? Mom's eyebrows shot up. "Alana, don't exaggerate." "I'm not exaggerating." "Honey," Dad said gently, "even if that's true, it's not sustainable. What happens when you can't find clients? At least with Kylie, you'd have security." "Security doing what? Changing diapers and doing dishes?" "Raising children," Mom said sharply. "Being part of something bigger than yourself. Your sister is building a family, creating the next generation. What are you creating? Logo designs for coffee shops." The words hit like a slap. I'd heard variations of this speech my whole life. When I graduated art school. "That's nice, dear. But what's your real plan? when I got my first big client. How cute! Alana's playing businesswoman. When I moved to the city. She'll come back when she gets tired of pretending. I need to think about it, I said. What's to think about? Kylie shifted the baby to her other arm. I'm drowning here, Alana. The kids need stability. I need help, and you need to stop running away from responsibility. I'm not running away from anything. Aren't you? Mom leaned forward. You're 29, single, no real career prospects, living alone in a shoebox. When was the last time you did something for someone other than yourself? I do things for other people every day. It's called having clients. That's not the same thing, Kylie said. That's just work. I'm talking about sacrifice, about love. I looked around the table at their faces. Mom, determined and righteous. Dad, avoiding eye contact. Kylie, exhausted and desperate. If I say no? I asked. Then you say no, Mom said. But don't expect us to keep pretending your choices don't affect the rest of us. Don't expect us to keep supporting your fantasy when your sister needs real help. The baby started crying harder. One of the other kids ran into the room, tugging on Kylie's shirt. Mommy! Tyler took my truck! Not now, Mason, Kylie said, bouncing the baby frantically. I watched the chaos unfold around me and felt something cold settle in my chest. That was the moment I knew I'd been cast as the powerless aunt in my own life story. Okay, I heard myself say. I'll do it. 2 weeks later, I was living in Kylie's guest room, which doubled as her home office, craft room, and storage space for everything she couldn't fit anywhere else. Alana, can you get the baby? He's been crying for 10 minutes. Kylie called from the kitchen. I was on my laptop, trying to finish a logo design for a client who'd already extended my deadline twice. The baby's cries echoed through the thin walls. Just a second, I called back. Now please, I'm making lunch for the boys. I saved my work and went to get little James from his crib. He was red-faced and soaking wet. I changed his diaper, fed him a bottle, and got him settled just as my phone rang. Alana Holmes Design, I answered, walking back toward my room. Hi, this is Marcus from Bloom Coffee. I was wondering about the status of our logo. I'm just putting the finishing touches on it. You'll have it by end of day. Actually, we need it in 2 hours. We're launching our social media campaign this afternoon. My stomach dropped. 2 hours. Marcus, we agreed on... Alana! Kylie's voice cut through the phone call. Can you come here? I covered the phone. I'm on a work call. It's important. Marcus, can I call you back in 5 minutes? 2 hours, Alana. We really need this. I hung up and found Kylie in the kitchen, staring at the dishwasher. It's broken, she said. Water everywhere. Can you clean it up while I call the repair guy? I looked at the puddle spreading across the floor, then at my laptop in the other room, then at the clock. 1 hour and 55 minutes. Can't it wait? I have a deadline. Alana, there's water damage happening. This is my house. I grabbed the towels and got on my hands and knees. By the time I finished mopping, called the repair company, and got back to my laptop, I had 40 minutes left. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. How's it going, honey? Kylie says you're such a big help. Another buzz. Marcus. Following up on logo. Still need in 90 minutes. I worked frantically, my hands shaking as I adjusted colors and fonts. The baby started crying again. Alana? Kylie called. I'm working. He needs you. I'm dealing with Tyler's meltdown. I could hear Tyler screaming about something in the living room. I saved my work, got the baby, and tried to work one-handed while bouncing him. My laptop kept sliding off my lap. 20 minutes left. The logo looked terrible. I was rushing, making mistakes I'd never make with proper time. My phone rang. Marcus again. Hi, Marcus. Alana, I hate to do this, but we've decided to go with another designer. We needed someone more reliable. The line went dead. 3 weeks of work. Gone. Everything okay in there? Kylie appeared in the doorway. I just lost a client. Oh. She didn't look particularly concerned. Well, maybe it's for the best. You've seemed really stressed trying to juggle everything. I'm stressed because I can't work. You are working. You're helping me raise my children. That's work, too. That's not what I meant. I know what you meant. Her voice got that edge it always had when she thought I was being ungrateful. But maybe this is a sign that you should focus on what's really important right now. That night, after the kids were finally asleep, I sat in my makeshift bedroom and opened my laptop. I had 17 unread emails, 3 potential clients, 2 existing clients asking for updates, and 12 promotional emails I didn't have time to delete. I started typing a response to one of the potential clients when I heard footsteps in the hallway. Alana? Kylie knocked softly. Are you still up? Yeah. She opened the door. I wanted to talk to you about something. Eduardo thinks we should make this arrangement more permanent. What do you mean? Well, you're already here. The kids love you. And honestly, I don't know how I managed before you came. Kylie, this was supposed to be temporary. I know, but think about it. You don't have to worry about rent anymore. You have a real purpose here, and the boys need stability. What about my business? You can still do your design stuff in your free time, like a hobby. A hobby, like Mom used to say. I need to think about it. Of course. Just don't think too long, okay? The kids are getting attached. After she left, I stared at my laptop screen. The cursor blinked in the empty email field. I started typing. Hi, I'm interested in your project, but I should mention that my availability is currently limited due to family obligations. I deleted it and started again. Thank you for thinking of me for this project. Unfortunately, I'm not taking on new clients at this time. Delete. I closed the laptop and lay down on the narrow bed, listening to the house settle around me. Somewhere down the hall, the baby started crying again. I pulled the covers over my head and pretended I didn't hear it. My phone buzzed with a notification. I grabbed it, hoping for a work email, but it was a message from someone named Rosalind in a freelancer Facebook group I'd joined months ago. Hey girl, saw your post about juggling family stuff and work. Been there. Want to chat about some strategies that might help? I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Yes. Please. 3 months in, Kylie announced she was going on a marriage retreat. It's just for the weekend, she said, throwing clothes into a suitcase. Eduardo and I need to reconnect. Where's Eduardo now? I asked, bouncing James while Tyler and Mason fought over cereal. He had to work late again. He'll meet me there. I'd noticed Eduardo's late nights were getting later. Sometimes he didn't come home at all. So, I'm watching all 3 kids alone for the weekend? You'll be fine. You practically run this house anyway. She zipped up her suitcase. There's frozen dinners in the freezer, and Tyler has soccer practice Saturday morning. Kylie, I had plans. What plans? You never go anywhere. She wasn't wrong. I hadn't left the house for anything non-kid related in weeks. Just plans. Well, now you have better ones. Quality time with your nephews. After she left, I sat on the couch with James while the older boys watched cartoons. My phone buzzed with messages from Rosalind. We'd been talking for weeks now, and she'd become my lifeline. Rosalind: how's the weekend going? Me: flying solo with 3 kids. Send help. Rosalind: oof, at least you can work tonight after they're asleep. Me: if I have any brain cells left. I scrolled through Facebook while James napped on my chest. That's when I saw it. A post from Jaden, a guy I knew from college. He was standing in front of a gallery wall covered with his paintings. Couldn't be more grateful for this solo show. His caption read: 5 years ago, I was designing menus for restaurants and wondering if I'd ever make it as a real artist. Today, I sold my first piece for 5 figures. To anyone out there still chasing their dreams, don't give up. The post had hundreds of likes and comments, people congratulating him, sharing their own stories, celebrating his success. I stared at the photo until my eyes blurred. 5 years ago, Jaden and I were in the same graphic design program. We used to stay up late in the computer lab, working on projects and talking about our big plans. He was going to be a painter. I was going to start my own design agency. Aunt Lana, I'm hungry, Tyler said, climbing onto the couch. What do you want to eat? Mac and cheese. I made lunch, cleaned up the mess, put James down for another nap, and tried to get the boys to play quietly. My laptop sat closed on the kitchen counter. I hadn't opened it in 2 days. That night, after all 3 kids were finally asleep, I sat in my room and opened a new browser window. I created an Instagram account with a name I'd been thinking about for weeks. Uncaged AF. The bio was simple. Design for women who refuse to be contained. I uploaded a simple graphic I'd made on my phone, bold black text on a white background that said, "My dreams don't have an expiration date." Within an hour, it had 50 likes. I made another one. Single doesn't mean settling. Then another. Your family's expectations are not your life sentence. Each post got more engagement than the last, comments from women saying, "I needed this today," and "This is exactly how I feel." By midnight, I had 300 followers. My phone rang. "Kylie, how are my babies?" she asked. I could hear music and laughter in the background. "They're asleep. How's the retreat?" "It's amazing. Eduardo and I are really connecting. We might extend it another day." "Another day? Kylie, I can't—" "You're so good with them, Alana. They're probably having more fun with you than they would with me anyway." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, then at my laptop screen. The Uncaged AF account was still growing. Women were sharing my posts, tagging their friends. I opened my design software and started working. Not on client projects. I barely had any left. On something for me. A t-shirt design. Simple, clean typography. I am not your backup plan. I uploaded it to a print-on-demand site and shared it on the Instagram account. Available now, I wrote, for every woman who's tired of being everyone else's safety net. By morning, I'd sold 12 shirts. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Kylie told me you're doing such a wonderful job with the boys. See? I knew you'd find your calling." I looked at the notification showing another shirt sale, then at Tyler and Mason eating cereal in their pajamas, then at James crying in his high chair. "Yeah," I texted back. "I think I'm finally figuring out who I'm supposed to be." But I wasn't talking about being their aunt. The Uncaged AF account hit 10,000 followers in 2 weeks. "I need to talk to you." I messaged Rosalind at 2 a.m. after another night of designing while the house slept. She called me immediately. "What's going on?" she asked. "I think I accidentally started a business." The Instagram thing? I've sold 300 t-shirts this week. 300, Rosalind. I'm making more money than I ever did with graphic design clients. That's incredible. What's the problem? I looked around my cramped room, listening for sounds from the kids' bedrooms. I can't let my family know. If they find out I'm making real money, they'll want to know why I'm still here. Why are you still there? The question hung in the air. I didn't have a good answer. I need help, I said. With the business stuff, taxes, logistics, all of it. I can help you set up an LLC. We can use my address for everything. Keep it completely separate from your family situation. You do that? Alana, I've been watching you build something amazing while juggling 3 kids and a toxic family. Of course I'd help. The next morning, Kylie was in the kitchen when I came down with James. We need to talk, she said, holding up a piece of paper. My stomach dropped. It was a bank statement. This came in the mail yesterday, addressed to you. I grabbed it. It was from the print-on-demand company, a check for $800. What is this? Kylie asked. It's freelance work. What kind of freelance work pays $800? Design work, logo stuff. She stared at me. You told me you barely had any clients left. This is from an old project. They just paid late. Alana. Her voice got sharp. Are you lying to me? Why would I lie? Because if you're making this kind of money, maybe you don't need to live here anymore. The baby started fussing. I bounced him, trying to look casual. It's just one check, Kylie. It's not like I'm getting rich. She studied my face. You better not be taking advantage of this situation. Taking advantage? I'm working for free as your nanny. You're not working for free. You have room and board. Room and board isn't a salary. It's more than you'd have if you were still in that tiny apartment, struggling to pay rent. Tyler ran into the kitchen. Mom, Mason won't share the iPad. Boys, we talked about this, Kylie said, distracted. She looked back at me. We'll discuss this later. That afternoon, while the kids napped, I called Rosalind. She's suspicious, I said. I need to be more careful. Or you could just leave. It's not that simple. Why not? You're making enough money now. You could get your own place. Because... I struggled to find the words. Because they need me. Do they? Or do they just want free childcare? Before I could answer, I heard Eduardo's car in the driveway. He'd been gone for 3 days this time. I have to go, I told Rosalind. Eduardo walked in looking exhausted and angry. He barely acknowledged me as he went straight to the bedroom. I heard him and Kylie arguing in hushed voices. Where were you? Kylie's voice carried through the thin walls. Working. You know I'm working. For 3 days straight? Don't start with me, Kylie. I'm doing my best here. Your best? Your best would be coming home to your children. My best would be if I didn't have to support your sister too. I froze. They were talking about me. She helps with the kids, Kylie said. She's a grown woman living in our house for free. When is this arrangement going to end? She doesn't have anywhere else to go. That's not our problem. Their voices got quieter, but I caught fragments. Financial strain? Can't afford. Needs to figure out her own life. My phone buzzed. A notification from the Uncaged AF Instagram account. Another shirt sale. Then another. And another. I opened my laptop and checked the numbers. In the past week, I'd made more money than Eduardo probably made in a month at whatever job he was pretending to have. I opened a new browser window and started looking at apartment listings in the city. Alana. Kylie appeared in my doorway. "Can you watch the boys tonight? Eduardo and I need to talk." "About what?" "Just things. Adult things." I looked at her tired face, her wrinkled clothes, the way she couldn't quite meet my eyes. "Sure," I said. After they left, I put the boys to bed early and opened my laptop. I had 47 new orders and a message from someone wanting to license one of my designs for a major retailer. I screenshot the message and sent it to Rosalind. "Holy shit!" she replied immediately. "This is it, Alana. This is your way out." I stared at the screen, then at the family photos on Kylie's walls, then at the baby monitor showing James sleeping peacefully. "I know," I typed back. "I'm just not sure I'm ready to take it." But even as I wrote the words, I was already calculating how much I'd need for a security deposit. I made the decision on a Tuesday morning when Kylie handed me a list. "What's this?" I asked, looking at the handwritten paper. "Chores for the week. I want to make sure we're organized." I scanned the list. Grocery shopping, laundry, deep clean bathrooms, organize kids' closets, meal prep for the week, vacuum all rooms, dust furniture. "This is everything," I said. "Well, yes. You live here too." "Kylie, I already watch the kids 12 hours a day." "And I appreciate that, but we're a household. Everyone contributes." I looked at her standing there in her yoga pants, fresh from her morning workout class, the one I couldn't attend because someone had to watch James. "What does Eduardo contribute?" Her face tightened. "Eduardo works." "So do I." "Your little online thing isn't the same as a real job." My little online thing had made $4,000 last week. "I need to talk to you and Eduardo tonight," I said. "After dinner." "About what?" "About my living situation here." Something flickered across her face. "Alana, if this is about the chore list, we can adjust it." "It's not about the chores." That evening, I waited until the kids were in bed. Eduardo was on the couch, scrolling his phone. Kaylee was folding laundry. "Can we talk?" I said. "Sure," Kylie said, not looking up from the tiny shirts she was folding. "I'm planning to move back to the city." Eduardo's head snapped up. Kylie's hands stopped moving. "What?" Kylie said. "I found an apartment. I can move in next month." "Alana, you can't be serious," Kylie said. "The kids need you. I need you." "You'll figure it out." "Figure it out?" Her voice got shrill. "James barely sleeps for anyone else. Tyler asks for you when he has nightmares. Mason won't eat vegetables unless you make them." "They'll adjust." Eduardo stood up. "This is perfect timing, Alana. Really perfect." "Eduardo," Kylie warned. "No, let me talk." He turned to me. "Do you have any idea what it's like trying to support a family of 5? Do you know what our mortgage costs? What we spend on groceries every month?" "I'm not part of your family of 5. "Exactly. You're extra. You're a grown woman who should be taking care of herself." "Eduardo!" Kylie snapped. "What?" "Someone needs to say it. She's been living here rent-free for months while I work 60-hour weeks trying to keep us afloat." I looked at him. "Where exactly have you been working 60-hour weeks?" His face went red. "What's that supposed to mean?" "You disappear for days at a time. You come home smelling like alcohol and cigarettes. That doesn't sound like work to me." "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know you haven't contributed to groceries in 3 weeks. I know Kylie's been paying the mortgage alone. I know you borrowed money from her parents last month." "How do you—" Kylie started. "Because I live here, Kylie. I see everything." Eduardo stepped toward me. You need to mind your own business. My business is leaving. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can't leave, Kylie said, tears starting. Alana, please. I'm barely holding it together as it is. Then maybe you should ask your husband to help instead of expecting me to fix your problems. They're not problems. They're children. They're family. They're your children. Your family. Your family too. No, I'm free labor. The room went silent except for the sound of James crying upstairs. I'll get him, I said, starting toward the stairs. Don't, Kylie said. Just don't. If you're leaving anyway, don't pretend you care. I stopped. I do care. That's why I stayed as long as I did. If you cared, you wouldn't abandon us. I'm not abandoning you. I'm choosing myself for once. Eduardo laughed bitterly. Choosing yourself. That's rich. You've never had to choose anything difficult in your life. You're right, I said. I've never had to choose between my family and my gambling debts. His face went white. Alana, Kylie whispered. I'm done, I said. I'm moving out in 2 weeks. I went upstairs, got James and brought him back down. I handed him to Kylie. Here's your son. Take care of him yourself. I went to my room and closed the door. My phone was buzzing with notifications from the Uncaged AF account. I ignored them and opened my laptop. I started typing. I lived with my sister's family for 8 months. I was their free nanny, housekeeper, and emotional support system. Today, I told them I'm leaving. They called me selfish. They said I was abandoning them. They said family comes first. But here's what they didn't say, that I matter too, that my dreams matter, that I deserve a life of my own, so I'm taking one. I posted it anonymously on the Uncaged AF account. Within an hour, it had 1,000 likes. Within 6 hours, it had 10,000. By morning, my phone was ringing. A producer from a major podcast wanted to interview me. We'd love to have you tell your story, she said. We think it would resonate with a lot of our listeners. I looked around my cramped room, listened to the chaos starting in the kitchen downstairs, and smiled. Yes, I said, I'd love to tell my story. 6 months later, I was sitting in my new downtown condo when the doorbell rang. Alana Holmes? The delivery guy asked. That's me. He handed me a box. Inside were 50 copies of Entrepreneur magazine with my face on the cover. The headline read, The Accidental Empire, How One Woman's Family Drama Became a $1 million Brand. My phone rang. Rosalind. Did you see the magazine? She asked. Just got my copies. We're officially booked solid through next year. The speaking requests alone are insane. Uncaged AF had exploded after the podcast interview. We'd hired 2 full-time employees, launched a clothing line, and I was speaking at women's conferences across the country. The anonymous post about leaving my sister's house had been shared over 1 million times. There's something else, Rosalind said. I got a weird call today. Someone asking for your home address. A client? No. She said she was your mother. My stomach dropped. I hadn't spoken to my family since I moved out. They'd sent a few guilt trip texts the first month, then nothing. I didn't give her anything, Rosalind continued, but she seemed pretty desperate. 20 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Mom and Dad standing in the hallway. I opened the door. Hi, Mom. Alana. She looked around my condo, taking in the modern furniture, the city view, the framed magazine covers on the wall. This is nice. How did you find me? We hired a private investigator, Dad said quietly. You hired a what? We needed to talk to you, Mom said. It's important. I let them in. They sat awkwardly on my white couch, looking out of place. We saw the magazine article, Mom said. Congratulations, Dad added. We had no idea you were doing so well. You never asked. Mom's face tightened. We tried to call. You changed your number. I needed space. Space. Mom repeated the word like it tasted bitter, while your family was falling apart. What's wrong? Dad cleared his throat. Eduardo was arrested last month. I sat down across from them. For what? Fraud. Embezzlement. He'd been stealing from his company for 2 years. Mom's voice cracked. He lost everything, Alana. Their house, their savings. Kylie and the kids are living with us now. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Mom's eyes flashed. Because you seem pretty comfortable here while your nephews are sleeping on air mattresses in our basement. That's not my fault, isn't it? She leaned forward. You knew something was wrong with Eduardo. You said so yourself. But instead of helping your sister, you ran away to play businesswoman. I didn't run away. I built a life. You built a life on our family's pain, Mom said. That post you wrote, that interview you gave, you made us sound like monsters. I never mentioned names. Everyone in town knows it was about us. Kylie lost her job at the church. People cross the street when they see us coming. Dad put his hand on Mom's arm. Susan, that's not why we're here. Then why are you here? We need your help, Dad said. The medical bills from my heart attack last month, plus supporting Kylie and the kids. We're drowning. You had a heart attack? 2 weeks ago. Triple bypass. He looked exhausted. The insurance doesn't cover everything. I stared at him. My father, who'd always seemed invincible, looked frail and grey. How much do you need? 50,000, Mom said quickly. Just to get back on our feet. $50,000. You're making millions now, aren't you? That's what the magazine said. The business is making money. That doesn't mean I have $50,000 lying around. But you could get it, Mom pressed. You could help us. Like you helped me? We gave you a home when you needed one. You gave me a prison sentence and called it family duty. Mom stood up. How can you be so selfish? These are your nephews we're talking about. Your father almost died. And I'm sorry about that. I really am. But I'm not responsible for fixing everyone's problems. Yes, you are. Mom's voice broke. Your family. You don't leave family behind. You left me behind the moment you decided my dreams didn't matter. Your dreams? She laughed bitterly. Look around, Alana. You got your dreams. You got everything you wanted. And what did we get? Public humiliation and financial ruin. You got exactly what you deserved. The words hung in the air like a slap. Dad stood up slowly. We should go, Susan. No. Mom turned back to me. You owe us, Alana. After everything we did for you, everything we sacrificed. What did you sacrifice? What did any of you ever sacrifice for me? She opened her mouth, then closed it. That's what I thought, I said. After they left, I sat alone in my beautiful condo and stared at the city lights. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It's Titus, your cousin. Can we talk? There are things you need to know about what's been happening with the family, things they're not telling you. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. Call me. Titus called me an hour later. Alana, thank God you answered. What's going on, Titus? I've been watching this whole thing unfold, and I can't stay quiet anymore. Your parents didn't tell you everything. About Dad's heart attack? About why they really came to see you? His voice was tight with anger. Alana, they're not just asking for help, they're planning to sue you. Sue me? For what? Defamation. They hired a lawyer last week. They think they can prove your posts and interviews damaged their reputation and cost them money. I sat down, hard. That's insane. It gets worse. Your mom has been telling everyone that you stole money from Kylie while you were living there. She's saying that's how you started your business. That's a complete lie. I know that, but she's got half the family convinced. She showed them bank statements, said the timing was suspicious. What bank statements? The checks you were getting while you lived with Kylie. She's claiming you were running your business using their resources and lying about it. My hands started shaking. Titus, I saved every email, every text, every conversation. I have proof of everything. Then you need to use it, because they're not just coming for your money, Alana. They're trying to destroy your reputation. Why are you telling me this? Because I've watched them do this to people my whole life. Remember when Uncle Mark tried to start his restaurant? Your mom convinced everyone he was being selfish and abandoning family. He ended up giving up and working for your dad's company for 20 years. I did remember. Uncle Mark had been miserable. She's done it to me too, Titus continued. Every time I try to move out, every time I date someone she doesn't approve of, it's always about family loyalty and responsibility. So, what do I do? You fight back, and I'm going to help you. How? I've been documenting everything. Screenshots of the family group chat, recordings of conversations. Your mom doesn't know I've been keeping track. Titus, you could get in serious trouble. I'm already in trouble. I'm 26 years old and I'm still living in my childhood bedroom because every time I try to leave, they guilt me into staying. I'm done. What do you need from me? Send me everything. Every text, every email, every piece of evidence you have. I'm going to compile it all and send it to the family group chat. The whole family? Everyone. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends, everyone who's been hearing their version of the story. My phone buzzed with another call. Mom. It's my mother, I told Titus. Don't answer. Let me handle this first. I declined the call. She called back immediately. Alana, answer the phone, Titus said. But put it on speaker. I want to hear what she says. I answered. Hi, Mom. Alana, we need to talk again. I think there was a misunderstanding earlier. What kind of misunderstanding? About the money. We're not asking for charity. We're asking for what's rightfully ours. I don't understand. The business you built, the money you're making, it started while you were living with Kylie. You used our family situation, our struggles, to create your brand. Legally, we might be entitled to a portion of your profits. Titus was furiously typing on his phone. Mom, that's not how businesses work. Isn't it? You lived rent-free. You used our story. You built your following by talking about us. Without our family, you'd have nothing. Without your family, I'd have had my freedom a lot sooner. Don't be smart with me, Alana. We've consulted with a lawyer. We have options. Are you threatening me? I'm informing you. You can do this the easy way or the hard way. What's the easy way? $50,000 now, and 20% of your business going forward. I looked at Titus, who was shaking his head and holding up his phone. He'd been recording. And the hard way. We take you to court. We tell everyone the truth about how you really built your empire on the backs of people who loved you. The people who loved me wouldn't have treated me like unpaid help. We gave you a home. You gave me a prison sentence and called it family. You're going to regret this, Alana. You're going to regret choosing strangers over your own blood. She hung up. Titus looked at me. Did you hear that? She just admitted they're trying to extort you. What do we do now? Now we show everyone who they really are. He held up his phone. I've got 2 years' worth of screenshots ready to go. Text messages where your mom calls you pathetic and a burden. Voice messages where Kylie says you'll never amount to anything. Everything. Titus, if you do this, there's no going back. Good. I don't want to go back. He started typing on his phone. I'm sending everything to the family group chat right now. Wait. It's done. My phone immediately started buzzing with notifications. The family group chat was exploding. Holy shit, Titus said, watching his phone. Aunt Linda just said she always suspected something was wrong. Uncle Mark is asking why no one told him about the lawsuit. My phone rang. Kylie. Don't answer, Titus said. Let them panic for a while. This is really happening. This is really happening. And Alana, they deserve everything that's coming to them. The family group chat screenshots went viral within hours. Alana, you need to see this. Rosalind called me at 6 a.m. Someone leaked your family's messages on Twitter. It's trending. I grabbed my laptop. Uncaged family was the #1 trending topic. Thousands of people were sharing screenshots of my mother calling me ungrateful and a financial burden. Kylie saying I'd never be anything without family, and Eduardo calling me dead weight. But the worst one was from my mother to Kylie. Don't worry about Alana's feelings. She's too weak to ever leave anyway. She needs us more than we need her. That message had been retweeted 50,000 times. My phone rang, a producer from Good Morning America. We'd love to have you on the show, she said. This story is resonating with millions of women. I don't know. We've also reached out to your family for comment. Your mother declined, but your sister wanted us to tell you she's disappointed in your betrayal. She said that on national television? She said it to our producer. We didn't air it. I hung up and called Titus. Are you seeing this? I asked. I'm watching the news right now. They're calling it the family that tried to sue success. Titus, I'm scared. This is bigger than I wanted it to be. Good. They tried to destroy you quietly. Now everyone gets to see who they really are. My doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw a woman with a camera crew. Ms. Holmes? I'm Jennifer Martinez from Channel 7 News. We'd love to get your response to your family's allegations. I opened the door. What allegations? Your mother held a press conference this morning. She's claiming you manipulated and exploited your family's private struggles for profit. She held a press conference? She also announced that your sister Kylie will be writing a tell-all book about the sister who chose fame over family. I stared at the camera. Can I make a statement? Of course. I looked directly into the lens. My name is Alana Holmes. For 8 months, I lived with my sister's family as their unpaid nanny and housekeeper. I was told it was temporary. I was told I'd be compensated. Instead, I was treated like hired help and made to feel guilty for having dreams of my own. The reporter nodded encouragingly. When I finally left and built a successful business, my family demanded money. When I refused, they threatened to sue me for defamation. They hired a private investigator to find my home address. They showed up uninvited and demanded $50,000 plus 20% of my business. What's your response to their claim that you exploited them? My response is this. I never used their real names. I never shared identifying details. I told my story, my experience, and apparently that was enough for people to recognize the behavior. That should tell you everything you need to know. The interview aired that night. By morning, I had 200,000 new followers on Instagram, and my phone was ringing non-stop. Alana? It was Jaden, my old college friend. Jaden, how did you get this number? Rosalind gave it to me. I've been following your story. I wanted to reach out. It's been insane. I can imagine. Listen, I'm working on a project, a documentary about family trauma and breaking cycles. Would you be interested in collaborating? Not as a subject, but as a creative partner. Really? Your story isn't just about family drama. It's about redefining success and refusing to be diminished. I think we could create something powerful together. I looked around my condo, at the magazine covers on the wall, at the city view that reminded me daily that I'd made it out. I'd love that. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me look. Alana, this is Kylie. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know something. Mom wrote that press conference statement. She made me say those things to the reporter. I never wanted to write a book. I never wanted any of this. Eduardo left last week. He took what little money I had left and disappeared. The kids keep asking where Aunt Alana is. I don't know what to tell them. I'm sorry. For everything. I understand if you can't forgive me, but I needed you to know that I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I showed it to Rosalind, who was sitting across from me in my office. What are you going to do? She asked. Nothing, I said. I'm going to do absolutely nothing. You're not going to respond? She made her choice when she let them use her to hurt me. The kids will be fine. They'll learn that adults have consequences for their actions. I deleted the message and opened my laptop. What are you working on? Rosalind asked. A new post. I started typing. It's about the difference between forgiveness and enabling, about how sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their choices. I posted it with a photo of Kylie's text message, with her name blacked out. The caption read, "Some bridges are meant to burn, and sometimes watching them burn is the only way to light your path forward." Within an hour, it had 100,000 likes. My phone rang. Titus, I'm moving to Portland next week. He said, I got a job at a tech startup. That's amazing. I wanted to thank you. Watching you stand up to them gave me the courage to finally leave. You gave me the courage to fight back. We make a good team. I smiled, looking out at the city lights. Yeah, we do. They taught me family comes before dreams. What they didn't say is, it might be the family you choose, not the one you're born into.
They called me Potato Face until I was 17. My name is Rosalie, and I need to tell you about the night that changed everything. But first, you need to understand what it was like growing up as the ugly daughter in a family that worshipped beauty like a religion. Picture this. Every school function, every family gathering, every moment that mattered, I was the one behind the camera. Not because I loved photography, but because that's where ugly girls belonged. In the shadows, capturing everyone else's perfect moments. Rosalie, get the camera, Mum would say, her voice dripping with that fake sweetness she reserved for public spaces. You're so good at getting everyone's best angles. Translation, You don't have any good angles yourself, so make yourself useful. My sister Jordan never had to hold a camera. Jordan was everything I wasn't. Blonde where I was brunette, clear-skinned where I battled acne, confident where I mumbled. She floated through life like she was born for spotlights, and maybe she was. Mum certainly thought so. Jordan's going to be a star someday, Mum would tell anyone who'd listen. She has that special something, you know, that glow. And me, I was reliable, like a potato. The worst part wasn't the nickname itself. Kids are cruel, whatever. The worst part was that my own mother started using it. Not to my face, of course. She was too smart for that, but I heard her on the phone with her sister one afternoon when I was 15. Oh, Jordan's trying out for the lead in the school play. She's a natural performer, just lights up the stage. Rosalie's helping with costumes, I think. She's more of a behind-the-scenes type. You know how it is. Some girls are roses, some are, well, potatoes. Both necessary, but only one gets the bouquet. I stood in the hallway holding a basket of laundry, feeling something cold and sharp settle in my chest. That's when I started planning my escape, though I didn't know it yet. Senior year brought prom season, and with it, the final humiliation that would set everything in motion. "Mum, I think I want to go to prom," I said one evening over dinner. The words felt foreign in my mouth, like speaking a language I'd never learned. Jordan looked up from her salad, eyebrows raised. "Really? Did someone ask you?" "I thought maybe I could go with friends." "Honey," Mum interrupted, setting down her fork with that gentle tone that always preceded devastation. "Prom is expensive. The dress, the hair, the makeup. It's a lot of investment for one night. I have money saved from my job at the bookstore." "It's not about the money, sweetheart." Mum's smile was patient, practiced. "It's about, well, prom is really for girls who are going to shine, you know. Girls like Jordan. You'd probably be more comfortable helping her get ready. You're so good at that kind of thing." Jordan nodded enthusiastically. "Yes." "Rosalie, you could do my makeup. You're actually really good at it when you try." I looked at my father, hoping for backup, but he was already buried in his phone. He'd checked out of family dynamics years ago, leaving Mom to rule our little kingdom of conditional love. "I'll think about it," I said quietly, but I didn't think about it. I went to the mall the next day and bought a dress with my bookstore money. Nothing fancy. A simple black number that made me feel almost pretty under the dressing room lights. I scheduled a hair appointment and even splurged on professional makeup. The night of prom, I came downstairs in my dress, heart hammering with nervous excitement. Maybe I wouldn't be the prettiest girl there, but I felt good. I felt ready to be seen. Mum was adjusting Jordan's tiara when she saw me. Her face went through several expressions: surprise, confusion, and finally, something that looked almost like pity. "Oh, honey," she said softly, "you look nice." Nice. The word hit like a slap. Jordan turned around, resplendent in powder blue silk, and her mouth fell open. "Rosalie, what are you wearing?" "My prom dress." "But I thought you were going to help me with touch-ups at the venue." "I can still help, but I'm going too." The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Finally, Mum cleared her throat. "Well, I suppose we should get pictures." She positioned Jordan in front of the fireplace, adjusting her dress, fluffing her hair. "Beautiful, sweetheart. Absolutely radiant." Then she looked at me. "Rosalie, why don't you stand there?" She pointed to a spot slightly behind and to the left of Jordan. "Perfect." Click, click, click. Later that night, after prom, after dancing alone while Jordan held court with the popular kids, after coming home with mascara smudged and dreams deflated, I found Mom showing the photos to our neighbour, Mrs. Patterson. "Doesn't Jordan look stunning? She's just star material, that one. Natural-born beauty." Mrs. Patterson squinted at the photos. "And this is Rosalie?" "Oh yes, that's our little potato. Reliable as always, but..." Mum's voice dropped to a whisper, but I heard every word from the kitchen doorway. "She's just not star material. She's a potato. Reliable, but nothing to look at." That night, I packed my bags and my silence. I was done being the potato in a family of roses. It was time to plant myself somewhere else and see what I could grow. 3 years later, I was elbow deep in bread dough at 5 a.m. in a tiny bakery in Milan, speaking broken Italian to customers who barely noticed me. Funny how some things never change. "Rosalie, table 7 wants another cornetto." called Marco, the owner, from behind the espresso machine. I wiped flour from my hands and grabbed the pastry, weaving between cramped tables filled with business people scrolling their phones. The morning rush was always chaos. Steam from the coffee machine, rapid-fire Italian, the constant ding of the register. I'd been in Milan for 8 months, working at Dolce Martina during the day and attending fashion design classes at night on a partial scholarship. My Italian was getting better, my bank account wasn't, but for the first time in my life, I was invisible by choice, not because someone decided I wasn't worth seeing. Grazie, the customer at table 7 mumbled without looking up from his newspaper. I was turning to go back to the kitchen when someone cleared their throat behind me. Excuse me. I turned around. A man in his 30s sat at the corner table, expensive camera hanging around his neck, watching me with the kind of intensity that made my skin crawl. Great. Another tourist, who thought the local help was part of the scenery. Can I help you? I asked in English, recognising his American accent. You're not Italian. Very observant. He smiled at my sarcasm. I'm Drew. I work in fashion, scouting, mostly. And I've been sitting here for 20 minutes watching you move. My stomach dropped. Look, if this is some kind of... You have the most interesting face I've seen in years. I actually laughed. Right, good one. I'm serious. He pulled out his phone, showed me his Instagram, hundreds of thousands of followers, photos of models I recognised from magazines. This is what I do. And you have something most of these girls spend thousands trying to achieve. What's that? Authenticity. There's a sadness in your eyes, like the Mona Lisa, but also strength. The camera would love you. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. When it didn't come, I shook my head. You've got the wrong girl. I'm nobody special. Who told you that? The question hit like a physical blow. I could hear Mom's voice, Jordan's laughter, years of being told I was the supporting character in everyone else's story. Everyone, I said quietly. Drew leaned forward. Well, everyone was wrong. Marco called my name from the kitchen, breaking the spell. I hurried away, but Drew didn't leave. He ordered coffee after coffee, watching me work, occasionally scribbling in a notebook. During my break, he approached again. I want to take some test shots, nothing weird, just headshots. See how you photograph. I don't have money for... No charge. I think you could be something special, but I need to see how the camera sees you. That afternoon, after my shift, I found myself in Drew's temporary studio, really just a rented apartment with good lighting. He was professional, respectful, talking me through poses while his camera clicked. Turn your chin slightly left. Good. Now look at me like I just told you something that surprised you. Click, click, click. You're a natural, he said, checking the shots on his camera. Look. He turned the screen toward me, and I barely recognised myself. The girl in the photo looked mysterious, striking even. Not pretty in the conventional sense, but arresting. This can't be me. It's you. This is how you really look when you're not trying to disappear. That night, I called my sister for the first time in months. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to share this tiny spark of hope with someone who knew where I'd come from. Rosalie! Jordan's voice was bright, a fake, "Oh my God! Where have you been? Mum's been worried sick." "I'm in Milan." "Milan? Like Italy, Milan? What are you doing there?" "Working. Learning." "That's so random. Are you coming home soon? I'm getting married in the fall, and I really want you to be my maid of honour." Maid of honour? Translation. I need someone to handle all the grunt work while I look perfect. I can't. I'm busy. Busy with what? It's not like you're doing anything important. There it was. The casual dismissal, delivered with a laugh like it was a joke we both shared. I hung up without saying goodbye and blocked her number. 2 weeks later, Drew called with news that would change everything. "I showed your photos to some people. There's interest. Real interest." "What kind of interest?" "Paris Fashion Week. They're looking for fresh faces for the closing show. It's a long shot, but..." "But what?" "But they want to meet you. And Rosalie?" "Yeah. They want you to walk under your real name, Rosalie Quinn." I stared at my reflection in the bakery's window, flour still dusting my apron, and for the first time in my life, I didn't look away. When do we start? 6 months into my modelling career, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw it. A puff piece in some lifestyle blog with the headline, "Local beauty Jordan Quinn opens up about her acting dreams." There was my sister, perfectly lit in what looked like a professional headshot, talking about her journey in the arts and her supportive family. The article mentioned her close-knit relationship with her parents and how they'd always believed in her star potential. Not one mention of me, like I'd never existed. I screenshotted it and sent it to Thea, my old friend from high school who'd somehow tracked me down through social media a few weeks earlier. My phone rang immediately. "Are you kidding me with this?" Thea's voice was sharp with anger. She's acting like she's some kind of celebrity when the biggest role she's ever booked was a commercial for a mattress store. "You've been keeping tabs?" "Honey, I'm a PR agent now. Keeping tabs is literally my job. And your family's delusion levels are off the charts." Thea had always been the only person who saw through my family's dynamics. While everyone else bought into the golden child narrative, she'd been the one sitting with me at lunch when I'd show up to school with red eyes from crying. "Want to know something interesting?" she continued. "I've been monitoring their social media since you left. Your mum posts about Jordan constantly, every audition, every headshot, every time she gets a call back. But you, radio silence. Like you vanished into thin air. Maybe that's for the best. Is it though? Because while you're over there becoming an actual model, they're still playing pretend back home." I was quiet for a moment, staring at the article. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that maybe it's time they knew what they lost." That conversation planted a seed. Over the next few weeks, as I booked more jobs, small editorial spreads, a campaign for an Italian jewellery brand, I started working with Thea unofficially. She helped me navigate the social media side of modelling, building my presence strategically. "The key," she explained during one of our video calls, "is controlled mystery. Give them just enough to be intrigued, but not enough to get the full picture." I posted photos from shoots with my face partially obscured, a silhouette against Milan's skyline, my hands holding a coffee cup with just my lips visible, artistic shots that showed my work without revealing too much. "Your engagement is insane," Thea said, pulling up analytics on her laptop. "People are obsessed with figuring out who you are. Good or bad obsessed. The best kind. You're the mystery girl everyone wants to solve." Meanwhile, Drew was pushing me toward bigger opportunities. We'd developed an easy working relationship. He was professional, never crossed lines, but genuinely invested in my success. "There's a charity gala next week," he said over coffee near his studio. "High-profile fashion crowd. You should go." "I don't really do events." "That's exactly why you should go. The industry loves an enigma, but they also need to see you can handle the social side." The gala was at a palazzo in Milan's fashion district. I wore a simple black dress, nothing flashy, but well-tailored. The goal was to blend in, observe, maybe make a connection or two. I was standing near the bar, nursing a glass of wine, and watching Italy's fashion elite air kiss and network, when someone bumped into me. "Sorry, so sorry," the woman said, in accented English. She was stunning. Tall, sharp cheekbones, the kind of effortless elegance that screamed money and breeding. "No problem," I replied. "You're American?" "Yes." "Model?" "Sometimes." She laughed. I like that answer. "I'm Isabella." "And you are mysteriously evasive." "Rosalie." "Ah, the mystery girl from Instagram. Everyone's been wondering about you." Before I could respond, a photographer appeared. "Isabella, can we get a quick shot for the event coverage?" "Of course." "Rosalie, join me." I started to decline, but Isabella linked her arm through mine. "Come on, one photo won't kill you." The photographer snapped a few shots of us laughing. Isabella had just whispered something funny about the man in the ridiculous bow tie behind us. For a moment, I forgot to be guarded. I just smiled. That photo went viral overnight. Not because of Isabella, though she was well known in fashion circles. It went viral because of me, specifically because someone zoomed in on my wrist and spotted the small tattoo I'd gotten in Milan. A tiny potato, simple line art, barely visible unless you were looking for it. The internet went crazy trying to decode it. Fashion blogs picked it up. "Who is the mystery model with the potato tattoo?" became a trending topic. My phone exploded with notifications. Drew called laughing. Congratulations, you just became famous by accident. But it wasn't the fame that made my hands shake as I scrolled through the comments and reposts. It was the notification that popped up while I was reading them. A friend request on Instagram from Jordan. The messages started trickling in within hours of Jordan's friend request. First, a text from Mum. Honey, we saw some photos online. Is that really you? Call me. Then Jordan sliding into my DMs like we'd been chatting every day. OMG, Rosalie! I can't believe my little sister is a model now. So proud of you. We need to catch up ASAP. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Thea. They found you, she texted back immediately. What's the play? Ignore them. Or, hear me out. We could have some fun with this. My phone rang before I could respond. Think about it, Thea said without preamble. They spent years making you feel invisible. Now you're getting attention they could never dream of, and suddenly they want to be part of your story. What are you suggesting? Document everything. Every fake sweet message, every attempt to ride your coattails. Trust me, this is just the beginning. She was right. Over the next few days, the messages multiplied. Mum, we always knew you had potential, sweetheart. Remember how I used to say you had interesting features? I'm so glad you finally found your confidence. Jordan, I've been telling everyone about my model sister. Maybe we could do a shoot together. Sister goals. Even my dad emerged from his usual silence. Saw the article about you in that fashion magazine? Good for you, kiddo. What article? I googled myself and found it. A small piece in Vogue Italia about emerging faces to watch. They'd used the gala photo and mentioned my enigmatic presence and unconventional beauty. I was reading it when Drew called. We need to talk. Can you come to the studio? 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from him in his cluttered workspace, watching him pace. The Paris Fashion Week opportunity is real, he said, but there's a complication. What kind of complication? Someone's been digging into your background, asking questions about your family, your past. My stomach dropped. Who? I don't know yet. But whoever it is has connections. They've been reaching out to people back home, trying to get information about you. What kind of information? The kind that could be spun into a story. The ugly duckling narrative, family drama, whatever sells magazines. I thought about the messages from Mom and Jordan, their sudden interest in reconnecting. Do you think it's them? I don't know, but we need to be prepared. That evening, I was walking back to my apartment when my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. Hello? Rosalie? It's Isaac. Isaac Porter. I'm a designer working on the Paris show. I'd heard of him, young, talented, known for dramatic presentations that made headlines. How did you get this number? Drew gave it to me. We need to meet, tonight if possible. Why? Because someone's trying to sabotage your debut and I think I know who it is. An hour later, I was sitting in a wine bar near the Navigli, across from a man with sharp features and intense dark eyes. You're being played, Isaac said without preamble. The whole mysterious backstory angle. Someone's been feeding information to the press, but not the kind that makes you look good. What do you mean? I mean, there's a story being shopped around about the poor American girl with the tragic family situation who's using modelling as revenge against her beautiful sister. The words hit like ice water. That's not... I know it's not true. But truth doesn't matter if the story's compelling enough. Who would do that? Isaac leaned forward. Someone who benefits from you looking unstable or vindictive. Someone who wants you to fail. My phone buzzed. Another message from Jordan. I saw the Vogue piece. I'm so happy for you. Maybe I could visit Milan soon. I've always wanted to see Italy. We could make it a sister trip. I showed Isaac the message. He read it and shook his head. Classic. Plant the seed that you're estranged from your loving family, then swoop in publicly to reconcile right when you're getting attention. But how would she even know to do that? She doesn't have to be the mastermind. Someone could be coaching her, using her. I scrolled through the other messages, seeing them with new eyes. The timing, the language, the sudden shift from years of silence to overwhelming support. What do I do? Isaac smiled, and it wasn't entirely pleasant. You beat them at their own game. How? By controlling the narrative. You want to know something about me, Rosalie? I didn't get where I am by playing nice. I got here by being smarter than the people trying to tear me down. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo, Jordan at some local event, looking slightly desperate in an ill-fitting dress. Your sister's been trying to book modelling gigs since your story broke. Posted this yesterday with the caption, "Following in my sister's footsteps." She has 12 likes. The contrast was stark. While I was being featured in actual fashion publications, Jordan was posing at what looked like a mall opening. The beautiful thing about revenge, Isaac continued, is that sometimes you don't have to do anything. Sometimes people destroy themselves trying to compete with you. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Mum. Jordan showed me her new headshots. You girls are both so beautiful. Maybe you could put in a good word for her with your contacts. I looked up at Isaac. When you said beat them at their own game, I meant give them exactly what they want. Let them think they're winning. And then? His smile widened. Then we show them what losing really looks like. The call came at 6 a.m, jarring me awake in my Milan apartment. "Rosalie, we have a problem." Drew's voice was tight with stress. "What kind of problem?" "Check your phone. Now." I fumbled for my laptop, still half asleep. The first headline made my blood freeze. Mystery models dark past. Family sources reveal years of troubling behaviour. The article was in a major fashion gossip blog, complete with quotes from anonymous family sources describing me as always jealous of her sister's success and desperate for attention since childhood. But the worst part was the photo. Me at 17, acne-scarred and awkward, cropped from one of those family pictures where I'd been pushed to the background. My phone was exploding with notifications. Missed calls from Drew, Isaac, even some numbers I didn't recognise. "Who did this?" I asked when Drew picked up. "We're trying to figure that out. But Rosalie, there's more." "More?" "Evelyn Hart wants to see you. Today. She's the PR head for the fashion house running the Paris show." 2 hours later, I was sitting in a sterile conference room across from a woman who looked like she could cut glass with her cheekbones. Evelyn Hart was legendary in fashion, the kind of person who could make or break careers with a single phone call. "Miss Quinn," she began, not looking up from her tablet, "this is unfortunate. The article is full of lies. The truth is irrelevant. What matters is perception." She finally looked at me, her gaze cold and calculating. "Right now, you're perceived as unstable, vindictive, using fashion as some kind of revenge fantasy against your family. That's not. I don't care what it is. I care about protecting our brand. The Paris show is the most important event of the season. We cannot have drama." My stomach sank. "Are you dropping me?" "I'm considering it." The door opened and Isaac walked in, not bothering to knock. "Evelyn, we need to talk." "Isaac, this doesn't concern. It absolutely concerns me. She's wearing my design for the finale. You drop her, you drop my piece." Evelyn's expression didn't change, but I caught the slight tightening around her eyes. "Your design can be worn by someone else." "No, it can't. I designed it specifically for Rosalie, for her story, her look, her energy. You want to talk about brand protection? This girl is about to become the most talked about model in Europe. The question is whether we're part of that story or not. The article is desperate family members trying to cash in on her success. Anyone with half a brain can see that." Isaac pulled out his phone and showed Evelyn something. "Look at her engagement numbers since the story broke. Look at the comments. People aren't buying the victim narrative. They're rallying around her." He was right. I'd been too panicked to really read the responses, but scrolling through them now, most were supportive. "This sounds like jealous family drama. She's gorgeous and they're pressed about it. Classic ugly duckling revenge, and I'm here for it." Evelyn studied the phone, her expression unreadable. "This could backfire spectacularly. Or it could be the most authentic moment fashion has seen in years," Isaac countered. "Real story, real emotion, real transformation. Isn't that what everyone's hungry for?" While they debated my fate, my phone buzzed with a notification Jordan had posted on TikTok. The video was a montage of photos, us as kids, family vacations, school events, set to emotional music. The caption read, "So proud of my baby sister for following her dreams. We've always been each other's biggest supporters." Shalsh, sister love, Ralph Lodge, proud. Sister, nah, family first. The comments were already pouring in. "Your sister is so beautiful. You must be so proud. Family goals. I showed Isaac the video. His jaw tightened. She's trying to rewrite history in real time. What do I do? You tell your story, the real one. That evening I posted a single photo on Instagram. It was a mirror selfie, my back to the camera, showing the tattoo on my neck that most people hadn't seen yet. Simple text across my shoulder blades, plain Jane. The caption was even simpler. Some stories have two sides, some have truth. Within an hour, it had thousands of likes and hundreds of comments. People were dissecting every detail, trying to understand the meaning behind the tattoo, the timing of the post. My phone rang. Mum's number. Rosalie, honey, what are you doing? That post? People are asking questions. What kind of questions? About the tattoo? About what you mean by truth. Sweetheart, we're family. We should handle this privately. Like we handled everything else privately. I don't understand why you're being so hostile. We've always supported you. Have you? Silence stretched between us. Finally, Mum's voice came back, smaller now. I think there's been some misunderstanding. Maybe we should all sit down and talk when you come home. I'm not coming home. But Jordan's wedding. I'm busy that weekend. Doing what? I looked at myself in the mirror, at the tattoo Isaac had helped me design, at the face that was finally being seen the way I wanted it to be seen. Walking in Paris Fashion Week. I hung up before she could respond. Isaac texted me an hour later. Evelyn changed her mind. You're still in. But Rosalie? Yeah? Whatever you're planning for Paris, make it count. You won't get another chance like this. I stared at the message, then at Jordan's TikTok still playing on my phone, her fake smile frozen on the screen. Don't worry, I typed back. I will. The invitations arrived on cream-coloured cardstock with gold embossing. Very official, very exclusive. Ms. Meredith Quinn and Ms. Jordan Quinn are cordially invited to attend Paris Fashion Week as media assistant guests of Rosalie Quinn. I'd worked with Thea to craft the perfect wording. Formal enough to seem legitimate, specific enough to make them feel important, but with that little detail that would matter later. Media assistant guests? Thea had asked when we were designing them. That's deliciously petty. It's accurate. They'll be assisting with the media narrative. The responses came within hours. Mum called first, practically breathless with excitement. Rosalie! Honey! This is incredible! Paris Fashion Week! I can't believe our little girl is walking in Paris Fashion Week. Our little girl? You know what I mean. I'm so proud of you. We both are. Jordan's text was even more effusive. OMG Paris! This is like a dream come true. I can't wait to support you. Should I bring my portfolio just in case? You never know who might be there. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Isaac. They took the bait, he texted back. You sure about this? I'm sure. The next 2 weeks were a blur of fittings, rehearsals, and final preparations. Isaac's design was stunning. A flowing gown that looked deceptively simple from the front but revealed intricate cut-out details along the back and shoulders. Perfect for showcasing the full artwork I'd been working on. The tattoo artist did incredible work, Isaac said during our final fitting, adjusting the dress's neckline. When did you get the rest of it done? I looked at myself in the mirror. The plain Jane text across my neck was just the beginning. Below it, in elegant script, were the words that had shaped my childhood. Potato face. And underneath, in bold letters, watch me grow. Last week, I wanted to make sure it was healed in time. And you're ready for them to see it? I've been ready for years. The day before the show, Mum and Jordan arrived in Paris. I met them at their hotel. A nice place, but not luxury. I'd made sure of that. Rosalie, Jordan rushed over in a cloud of expensive perfume and designer knockoffs. You look amazing! Paris suits you. Mum was more reserved, studying my face like she was seeing me for the first time. You look different. I look like myself. Of course, honey, you look beautiful. You always have. Maybe we didn't know how to bring it out of you. The rewriting of history was happening in real time, just like Isaac had predicted. So what's the plan for tomorrow? Jordan asked, settling into the hotel bar like she owned the place. Will we be sitting front row? I brought my best dress, and I've been practicing my poses in case photographers want shots of us together. You'll be in the media section. Good view of the runway. Media section? That's what your invitations said. Media assistant guests. Mum frowned. What does that mean exactly? It means you'll be part of the story. Don't worry, you'll understand tomorrow. That evening, I had dinner with Drew and Isaac at a quiet bistro near the venue. Last chance to back out, Drew said, cutting into his steak. Once you walk that runway tomorrow, there's no taking it back. Good. Isaac raised his wine glass. To Rosalie, who's about to give Paris Fashion Week something they'll never forget. What exactly are you planning? Drew asked. You've been secretive about the details. I pulled out my phone and showed them the presentation Isaac and I had been working on. The runway would have screens on either side, and as I walked, they'd display a carefully curated slideshow. Drew scrolled through the images. Childhood photos where I was cropped out or pushed to the background, screenshots of the cruel comments, the prom photo where I stood behind Jordan like a shadow. Jesus, Rosalie. The final image, Isaac added, will be a split screen, Rosalie then, and Rosalie now. And your family will be watching this. They'll be part of it. The cameras will catch their reactions. Their faces will be part of the story. Drew set down his phone. This isn't just modelling. This is performance art. It's justice, I corrected. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Jordan. So excited for today. I hope some of the other designers notice me. Maybe this could be my big break too. And one from Mum. We're so proud to be here supporting you, sweetheart. This is a dream come true for our whole family. I got dressed slowly, methodically. The dress fit perfectly. The tattoos were healed and bold against my skin. In the mirror, I looked like someone I'd always wanted to be. Strong, striking, unapologetic. My phone buzzed with a voice message from Mum. Honey, we just got to the venue and there are so many cameras. This is incredible. We can't wait to see you shine, baby girl. We love you so much. I saved the message. Evidence of how quickly love could appear when there were cameras around. Isaac knocked on my dressing room door. It's time. How do I look? He smiled, and for the first time since I'd known him, it was completely genuine, like someone who's about to change everything. I could hear the music starting, the crowd settling into their seats. Somewhere out there, Mum and Jordan were probably adjusting their hair and practicing their proud family member expressions. They had no idea what was coming. Let's go give them a show, I said. The music pulsed through the venue like a heartbeat. Backstage was controlled chaos. Models touching up makeup, designers making last-minute adjustments, assistants running around with clipboards and headsets. 5 minutes to finale, someone called out. I stood in the wings, watching the other models complete their walks. The audience was electric. Fashion editors, celebrities, buyers, all the people who decided what beauty meant in the world. You ready? Isaac appeared beside me, adjusting the final details of the dress. I've been ready for 7 years. Through a gap in the curtain, I could see the media section. Mum and Jordan sat in the third row, phones out, recording everything. Jordan kept checking her hair in her phone camera between shots. They look excited, Isaac observed. They should be. They're about to be famous. The model before me finished her walk and swept past us backstage. The music shifted, becoming deeper, more dramatic. This was it. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed over the sound system, presenting our finale piece, Metamorphosis, worn by Rosalie Quinn. I stepped onto the runway. The lights were blinding at first, but I'd trained for this. 1 foot in front of the other, shoulders back, chin up. The dress flowed behind me like liquid silk, and I could feel the cutouts exposing my back, my shoulders, the artwork I'd carved into my skin. Cameras flashed like lightning. The audience was silent, mesmerized. Halfway down the runway, the screens on either side flickered to life. The first image appeared. Me at age 8, standing behind Jordan at a school play, barely visible in the background, while she took centre stage in a sparkly costume. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I kept walking, my pace steady, deliberate. The next image flashed. Me at 13, holding a camera at Jordan's birthday party while she posed with friends. I was cropped almost entirely out of the frame. The murmurs grew louder. In the media section, I could see Mum's face changing, confusion replacing her proud smile. Another step, another photo. Me at 15, standing awkwardly to the side while Jordan got fitted for homecoming dress. The shop assistant was literally turning away from me to focus on my sister. "Oh my God!" someone in the front row whispered. I reached the end of the runway and paused, turning slowly so the cameras could capture every angle. The dress was designed for this moment. As I turned, the back opened fully, revealing the complete tattoo. "Potato face," in bold letters across my shoulder blades. "Watch me grow," underneath in elegant script. The crowd gasped. Cameras went crazy, flashing so rapidly it looked like a strobe light. On the screens, more images appeared in rapid succession. The prom photo where I stood behind Jordan like a shadow. Screenshots of family social media posts where I was tagged but never featured. The cruel nicknames written out in stark text. I began walking back, and the final image appeared on the screens. It was a split screen. On the left, me at 17, acne-scarred and miserable, holding a camera at yet another family event. On the right, me now, walking this runway, owning this moment. The caption appeared below, "They never saw me coming." The audience erupted. Not just polite Fashion Week applause, but genuine shock and awe. People were standing, phones out, capturing every second. I reached the end of the runway and stopped, facing the crowd. For a moment, I let my gaze sweep across the entire venue. Fashion editors were frantically typing on their phones. Celebrities looked stunned. The energy in the room was electric, dangerous. Then I found them. Mum and Jordan sat frozen in their seats. Mum's face was white, her mouth slightly open. Jordan looked like she'd been slapped, her phone hanging limply in her hand. Our eyes met across the crowded venue. I didn't smile. I didn't wave. I just looked at them with the same steady gaze I'd perfected over years of being invisible. Then I turned and walked off the runway. Backstage was pandemonium. Isaac grabbed me the moment I stepped off. "That was incredible! The whole place is going insane." Drew appeared, grinning widely. "Rosalie, I've never seen anything like it. The phones, the cameras, everyone's posting about it. How did it look from out there?" "Like justice," he said simply. My phone was already exploding with notifications, but I ignored them. There would be time for the aftermath later. "Miss Quinn?" A young assistant approached nervously. "There are some people here to see you. They say they're your family." Through the backstage chaos, I could see them, Mum and Jordan, looking small and out of place among the fashion industry professionals. Mum's carefully applied makeup was smudged, and Jordan's confident posture had crumbled. "Tell them I'm busy," I said, "but they're quite insistent." "Tell them," I repeated, louder this time, "that I'm busy." Isaac squeezed my shoulder. "You did it." "We did it." My phone buzzed with a voice message, Mum's number. I almost deleted it, but something made me listen. Her voice was shaky, desperate. "Rosalie, honey, please, we need to talk. I know how this looks, but you have to understand. We were only trying to protect you. We thought if we didn't build up your hopes, you wouldn't get hurt when things didn't work out. We were wrong, but we were trying to protect you." I saved the message and put my phone away. Protection. That's what they were calling it now. The music was still playing, the show continuing, but my part was done. I had finally been seen. The headlines started appearing before I even left the venue. Fashion Week, shocker. Model exposes family abuse in stunning runway reveal. The potato face that launched 1,000 conversations. Rosalie Quinn's revenge, when high fashion meets raw truth. Drew found me in my dressing room, scrolling through the coverage on my phone. "You need to see this," he said, showing me his screen. "It's everywhere. CNN, BBC, even the morning shows back home are picking it up." The video of my walk had already been viewed millions of times. Comments poured in from people sharing their own stories of being the overlooked sibling, the family scapegoat, the one told they weren't good enough. "This is so much bigger than fashion," I said, reading through them. That was the point, wasn't it? My phone rang. Thea's name flashed on the screen. "Holy shit, Rosalie! Do you know what you just did?" I walked a runway. "You just became the most famous model in the world. My phone hasn't stopped ringing. Interview requests, brand deals, documentary offers. Everyone wants to talk to you." "What about them?" "Your family?" "Oh, honey, Jordan's Instagram is getting destroyed. People are posting screenshots of her old posts about you, calling her out for the fake sister act. And your mom... Thea paused. Someone found her Facebook posts from when you left. The ones where she told people you were going through a phase and would come crawling back when reality hit. I wasn't surprised, but hearing it confirmed still stung. There's more, Thea continued. Jordan lost her mattress commercial. The company said they don't want to be associated with family abuse. And that wedding she was planning? Apparently, her fiancé is having second thoughts about marrying into that kind of family. I never wanted to destroy her life. You didn't destroy anything, Rosalie. You just turned on the lights. That evening, I walked alone through Paris, needing space to process everything. The city was beautiful at night, all golden lights and ancient stones. I found myself at a small cafe near the Seine, ordering coffee and watching people pass by. Most of them didn't recognise me. The dramatic runway makeup was gone, replaced by my natural face. I was just another girl in Paris, except for the tattoo peeking out from my collar. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Hi, Rosalie. This is your dad. I know we haven't talked in years, and I know I failed you. I should have protected you from what was happening in our house. I was a coward, and I'm sorry. I saw what you did today, and I want you to know. I'm proud of you. I always was, even when I was too weak to say it. I found something I think you should have. The next message was a photo. It was old, faded at the edges. Me as a little girl, maybe 6 years old, holding a toy camera and grinning at whoever was taking the picture. On the back, in my father's handwriting, she sees the world they can't. I stared at the photo for a long time, remembering that little girl who just wanted to be seen, to matter, to be enough. My phone rang, Isaac's name. Where are you? We're celebrating at Le Meurice. The whole fashion world is here, and they all want to meet you. I'm not really in a party mood. Rosalie, you just changed the entire conversation about beauty, family, authenticity. Do you understand what you've accomplished? I looked around the cafe, at the ordinary people living their ordinary lives, and realised something had shifted inside me. The anger that had driven me for so long was still there, but it felt different now. Cleaner, like it had served its purpose. I'll be there in an hour. The party was everything Isaac had promised. Champagne, influential people, congratulations from designers whose names I'd only read in magazines. But the moment that mattered most came when a young girl, maybe 16, approached me nervously. Excuse me, are you Rosalie? Yes. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm the ugly sister too, and seeing what you did tonight, it made me feel like maybe I'm not as invisible as I thought. She walked away before I could respond, but she didn't need to stay. She'd already given me everything I needed to hear. Drew appeared beside me with 2 glasses of champagne. So, what's next for the girl who broke the internet? I thought about the offers Thea had mentioned, the opportunities that would come from this moment. But mostly I thought about that little girl with the toy camera and how she'd grown into someone who could finally light up the stage. I think, I said, raising my glass, I'm just getting started. The cameras flashed around us, but for once I wasn't trying to disappear from the frame. Turns out being the one in the shadows makes you really good at lighting the stage.
The voicemail from my sister still haunts me, even now. Mom said, "You're not even family anymore." 6 years later, I can recite every cold, calculated word. I remember exactly where I was standing, in the parking lot of my apartment complex, holding an eviction notice in one hand and my sleeping 6-month-old daughter in the other. My name is Skylar, and this is the story of how I bought my parents' house just to kick them out of it. That day started like any other rock-bottom Thursday. Hannah was teething. I was 3 months behind on rent, and my ex had conveniently changed his number again. The landlord's sympathy had finally run dry, leaving me with 72 hours to vacate. I did what any desperate daughter would do. I swallowed my pride and drove to my parents' house, the sprawling 5-bedroom colonial where I grew up. The same house where my mother hosted her weekly wine clubs, and my father practiced his golf swing in the manicured backyard. "Mom," I called, knocking on the front door. Hannah stirred against my shoulder, and I bounced her gently. "Mom, please, I know you're home." The curtain twitched. I saw her face, perfectly made up as always, peer out before disappearing. 10 seconds later, The door opened just enough to reveal her slim figure blocking the entrance. "Skylar." Her voice carried that familiar note of disappointment. "This isn't a good time." "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't important." I shifted Hannah to my other hip. "We got evicted. I just need a place to stay for a few weeks while I—" "No." The word cut like glass. "What?" I said no. "We don't have room." I laughed, the sound hollow. "Mom, you have 5 bedrooms. The guest room hasn't been used since Christmas." "That's not the point." She glanced over her shoulder, lowering her voice. "What would people think? The neighbors already talk enough about your situation." Hannah chose that moment to wake up, her big brown eyes blinking at the grandmother who'd seen her exactly twice since birth. "She's your granddaughter," I whispered. "We're your family." "Family?" She raised one perfectly sculpted eyebrow. "Family doesn't embarrass each other like this. Family maintains standards. Your sister would never—" "Kylie's married to a dentist," I snapped. "Sorry I couldn't meet your social calendar's requirements when choosing my life crisis." "Don't be dramatic." She started closing the door. "Call your father's sister, or that friend of yours, the waitress." "Ingrid? Mom, she lives in a studio apartment?" "Then that's your solution to figure out." "I have book club in an hour, and I need to prepare the hors d'oeuvres." The door clicked shut. I stood there, staring at the brass knocker, while Hannah began to fuss. Through the window, I could see my mother adjusting a vase of fresh flowers on the entry table. My phone buzzed. A text from Kylie. "Mom told me what happened. Maybe if you'd listened to her about Ramon in the first place." I walked back to my car, strapped Hannah into her car seat, and sat behind the wheel. The tears wouldn't come. Instead, something else was building, something hard and cold and certain. That night, I parked outside the house and watched the book club ladies arrive in their luxury SUVs. Their laughter drifted through the open windows, along with the clink of wine glasses and my mother's practiced socialite giggle. Hannah slept peacefully in her car seat. I opened Facebook on my phone and saw my mother had posted new family photos from last weekend's garden party. In the original versions, I'd been standing at the edge of the frame. Now the images were cropped, cutting me out entirely. My phone buzzed again. That final voicemail from Kylie. "Mom said you're not even family anymore. Stop embarrassing everyone and figure your life out. Some of us actually care about this family's reputation." I looked at my daughter, then at the house where I grew up. The house where I'd never been good enough, where every achievement came with criticism, where love was conditional on meeting impossible standards. "Hey, baby girl," I whispered to Hannah. "Want to hear a story? Once upon a time, your mama made a big mistake. She thought family meant something it didn't. But don't worry, we're going to write our own ending to this fairy tale." I started the car and drove away from the house, from the laughter, from the family that wasn't family anymore. I had 72 hours to find a place to live, no money, and a baby who deserved better than a car seat for a bed. But I also had something else now, a purpose, a plan starting to form. Because one day I promised myself I would stand in front of that house again. And next time, I'd be holding something very different from an eviction notice. I just didn't know yet that it would be the deed to their house. Living in your car with a baby teaches you things they don't cover in parenting books, like how to change diapers in a reclined driver's seat, or which parking lots have the most lenient security guards. For me, it was the Walmart 3 blocks from my parents' house. "You can stay with me," Ingrid had offered immediately when I called. "It'll be tight, but—" "Your landlord would evict you too," I said. "I can't do that to you." But she wouldn't take no for an answer. Every night she'd text, "My couch is still free." After a week of Hannah crying in the back seat and me washing up in gas station bathrooms, I finally gave in. Ingrid's studio apartment became our sanctuary. She worked day shifts at the diner. I took nights at the 24-hour pharmacy. Hannah bounced between us like a tiny ping-pong ball, But at least she had a real crib, a hand-me-down from Ingrid's cousin. "Look what I found," Ingrid said one evening, tossing me her phone. My mother's Facebook page showed photos from another wine night. "They're really acting like you don't exist, huh?" I handed the phone back without looking. I have better things to focus on. And I did. Between customers at the pharmacy, I'd pull up online classes on my phone. Business administration, real estate fundamentals, financial planning. The screen's blue light kept me awake through the graveyard shift, along with gas station coffee and pure determination. "You should sleep when Hannah sleeps," Ingrid worried. "I'll sleep when I'm dead. Or rich. Whichever comes first." Then came the paycheck that changed everything. My manager had messed up the overtime calculations, paying me for extra hours I hadn't actually worked. I stared at the number, $850 more than usual. "They'll probably catch it," I told Ingrid, holding the check like it might disappear. But what if they don't? They never did. That mistake became my first savings account. Every spare dollar went into it, along with the tips I made helping elderly customers find their medications at 3 a.m. One night, while counting my savings in the pharmacy break room, my coworker Curtis stopped by. He was older, worked construction during the day and pharmacy nights to fund his real estate side hustle. "You're always studying," he noted, peering at my phone screen. "Real estate licensing?" "Just dreaming," I said. "Dreams need plans." He pulled up a chair. "Let me show you something." For the next hour, Curtis explained credit scores, mortgage rates, and property foreclosures. His eyes lit up when talking about market analysis and investment strategies. "You're smart," he said finally. "And you're hungry. That's a dangerous combination." I looked at my savings app, 24182 $. Not hungry enough yet. "Then let's fix that." He grabbed a napkin, wrote down some numbers. "These are the steps. Follow them exactly. In 2 years, you could be looking at your first property." I folded the napkin carefully, tucked it into my pocket. "Why help me?" "Because 12 years ago, I was sleeping in my car too." He stood up, straightened his name tag. "Time for med checks in aisle 3. The next morning, I sat at Ingrid's tiny kitchen table while Hannah ate Cheerios. My phone buzzed. Another Facebook notification. My mother had posted photos from my sister's baby shower. The caption read, "So blessed to welcome our first grandchild soon." Hannah knocked over her sippy cup, giggling as milk spread across the table. I grabbed a paper towel, and that napkin from Curtis fell out of my pocket. First step, build credit score to 700 plus. Second step, save 20% down minimum. Third step, study market trends in target area. Fourth step, get licensed. Fifth step, wait for the right property. I picked up my phone and downloaded a credit monitoring app. Then I called the community college to enroll in their online business program. Finally, I opened my banking app and created a new savings account. The name I gave it? Revenge Fund. "Mama, more milk?" Hannah held up her empty cup, milk still dripping down her chin. I wiped her face, kissed her forehead. "You know what, baby? Mama's going to get you a whole house full of milk someday." That night at work, I got my first overtime shift of many to come. As I stocked shelves at 4 a.m., I could see my parents' house on the hill through the pharmacy windows. Their porch lights were on, probably for another late-night social gathering. My phone vibrated. A text from my sister. "Mom's showing everyone ultrasound photos. She says this time she'll do grandmothering right." Whatever that means. I turned off my phone and grabbed the next box of inventory. Let them drink their wine. Let them play their social games. Let them think they'd written me out of their story. Because I was writing my own now, and their chapter was coming. They just didn't know it yet. I looked at my first real paycheck again, the one with proper overtime. More money than I'd ever seen at once. Tears welled up, but this time they felt different. I smiled, tucked the check away, and got back to work. After all, Revenge funds don't build themselves. 2 years can change everything. My credit score climbed from the depths of despair to a respectable 742. Hannah started kindergarten, and Curtis became more than just a mentor. He became the father figure I'd never really had. "You're ready," Curtis said one evening, reviewing my practice real estate exam results. We sat in his home office, surrounded by property listings and market analysis reports. "You could take the test tomorrow and pass with your eyes closed." "I need to be more than ready," I replied, highlighting another section in my textbook. "I need to be perfect." He leaned back in his chair, studying me with that knowing look he'd developed over our weekly study sessions. "This isn't just about getting licensed anymore, is it?" It never was. Hannah played with blocks in the corner, building towers and knocking them down. Curtis's wife had set up a special corner just for her, complete with toys and a tiny desk. "You know," Curtis said, "revenge is a tricky business. I've seen it eat people alive. Good thing I'm not people." I closed my textbook. "I'm a future real estate mogul." He laughed, but his eyes stayed serious. "Just remember, the best revenge isn't just about hurting others. It's about building yourself up so high they can't reach you anymore." My phone buzzed. Another real estate alert. I'd set them up for every property within 5 miles of my parents' house. Most were way out of my league, but I studied them all, learning the patterns, watching the market breathe. "Holy shit," I whispered, staring at the newest listing. "Language," Curtis warned, glancing at Hannah. But I barely heard him. There on my screen was an address I knew by heart, my childhood home. Status: pre-foreclosure. "Look at this." I handed him my phone. "Tell me I'm not dreaming." Curtis whistled low. "Your parents' place?" He scrolled through the details. "Looks like they've missed quite a few payments. Property taxes, too." My hands shook as I took the phone back. All those wine parties, all that keeping up appearances, it had finally caught up with them. "What's the timeline look like?" "Based on these numbers," Curtis pulled up his calculator. "They've got maybe 3 months before it goes to auction, unless they can come up with about $218,000. I opened my banking app. Between my savings, investments, and the small inheritance from my grandmother that my mother couldn't touch, I had just over $225,000. "Hannah, sweetie," I called. "Pack up your blocks. We need to go see Aunt Ingrid." At Ingrid's apartment, now a 2-bedroom thanks to her promotion, I laid out my plan. She listened while making dinner, occasionally shaking her head in disbelief. "You're actually going to do it," she said finally. "You're going to buy their house." "Not just buy it." I helped Hannah with her spaghetti. "I'm going to make them leave it. That's some cold-served revenge right there." Ingrid poured more wine. "But what about Hannah? Have you thought about how this might affect her?" I watched my daughter carefully twirl pasta with her fork, a skill she'd recently mastered. Everything I do is for her. To show her that no one, not even family, gets to decide her worth. Later that night, after Hannah was asleep, I sat at my laptop reviewing foreclosure procedures. A new email popped up. From my sister. "Mom and Dad are having some financial troubles. They're too proud to ask, but I thought you might want to help. You know, show them you've grown up. Here's their lawyer's number." I marked the email as read and closed my laptop. Through the window, I could see the city lights sparkling. Somewhere out there, my parents were probably hosting another party, pretending everything was fine. The next morning, I aced my real estate exam. Curtis took me and Hannah out for ice cream to celebrate. "I got you something," he said, sliding an envelope across the table. Inside was a business card. Simple, elegant, with my name and real estate professional underneath. "Your first box arrives next week," he said. "Time to start building your empire." Hannah reached for the card with sticky fingers. "Pretty, Mama." I tucked it safely away, watching my daughter's ice cream-stained smile. In 3 months, I would be standing in an auction room, ready to buy back the house that had rejected us. But this time, I'd be the one with the power to say who belonged and who didn't. My phone lit up with another alert. The foreclosure notice was now public record. I could picture my mother's face when she saw it in the local paper, her carefully maintained image starting to crack. "You okay?" Curtis asked, noting my expression. "Just thinking about karma," I said, helping Hannah wipe her face, "and how sometimes it needs a little push in the right direction." I pulled out the business card again, ran my finger over the embossed letters of my name. 2 years ago, I'd been sleeping in my car. Now I was about to become a homeowner of the very house that had shut its doors on us. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just served cold. Sometimes it's served with a real estate license and a foreclosure notice. The auction house smelled like coffee and desperation. I sat in the back row, wearing a blazer borrowed from Ingrid and heels I'd splurged on just for this moment. My heart thundered so loud I could barely hear the auctioneer's rapid-fire speech. Next property, 1487 Maple Grove Drive. Opening bid at $180,000. Curtis sat 2 rows ahead, pretending not to know me. We'd planned this carefully. He'd bid first, drive up the price just enough to flush out serious buyers. I'd swoop in for the kill. A man in an expensive suit raised his paddle. $185,000? $190,000, called Curtis. My parents weren't here. Of course not. They'd sent their lawyer, a thin man with wire-rimmed glasses who kept checking his phone. He raised his paddle. $195,000. I watched the numbers climb. $200,000. $205,000. Each bid made my fingers tighten around the cashier's checks in my purse. Everything I owned was in those pieces of paper. $210,000, said the suit. Curtis looked back, so slightly nobody else would notice. Our signal. He was out. $215,000, the lawyer countered, looking bored. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. Every head turned. $218,000. The lawyer's eyes narrowed, studying me. I kept my face neutral, thanking God I'd worn sunglasses and styled my hair differently than usual. $218,000 going once. The suit shook his head. Twice. The lawyer reached for his phone. Sold. To the lady in the back. My legs shook as I walked to the front. The lawyer brushed past me, already dialing. I wondered if he was calling my mother right now, telling her some stranger had just bought her precious house. Congratulations, the clerk said, sliding paperwork across the desk. Will you be using a mortgage company? Cash purchase? I placed the cashier's checks down one by one. My hands didn't shake anymore. Outside, Curtis waited by his truck. You did it, kid. I did it. The reality hadn't hit yet. I actually did it. Keys will be ready tomorrow. He squeezed my shoulder. You sure about the next part? I nodded. They have 30 days to vacate. Legal requirement. That's not what I meant. I know. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from my sister. But they made their choice 2 years ago. Now I'm making mine. At home, Hannah was napping at Ingrid's place. I sat on the couch, staring at the property deed in my hands. My name, my house, my revenge. My phone buzzed again. A text from Ingrid. Your parents just posted on Facebook. Having Sunday brunch at Maples. Want to see? I clicked the link. There they were. My mother in her designer dress, my father with his forced smile, Kylie showing off her baby bump. The caption read, Family is everything. Blessed Sacre Sunday brunch. Perfect, I texted back. I know exactly where to deliver their eviction notice. The next morning, I put on my new power suit and drove to Maples. Through the window, I could see them at their usual table, my mother sipping her mimosa, my father hiding behind his newspaper. The hostess smiled. Table for one? No, thank you. I held up an envelope. I just need to deliver this. I walked straight to their table, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor. My mother saw me first. Her mimosa froze halfway to her lips. "Skylar?" My father lowered his newspaper. "What are you—" "Special delivery." I placed the envelope in the center of their table, right next to the fresh flowers. "You'll want to read this immediately." Kylie reached for it, but I pulled back. "Actually, this is for the homeowners only." "What's the meaning of this?" My mother's voice had that familiar edge of disdain. "We're having a family brunch." "Oh, I know." I smiled, channeling every ounce of her own cold politeness. "That's why I came now. You always said timing was everything. If you need money," my father started. "I don't need anything from you. Not anymore." I turned to leave, then paused. "By the way, you have 30 days. I'd start packing." "30 days for what?" Kylie called after me. I didn't answer. Let them open the envelope. Let them see the official eviction notice. Let them wonder who bought their house and why. Outside, I took a deep breath of fresh air. My phone buzzed. A picture from Ingrid. She'd been watching Hannah while I did this, and they'd made pancakes together. My daughter's face was covered in syrup, her smile bright enough to light up the world. "How'd it go?" Ingrid texted. I looked back through the restaurant window. My mother was ripping open the envelope, her hands shaking. My father had gone pale. Kylie was already on her phone, probably Googling what was happening. "They don't know it's me yet," I replied. "But they will, soon." I got in my car and drove away from the restaurant, away from their shocked faces and broken illusions. In my rearview mirror, I could see my mother standing on the sidewalk, the eviction notice clutched in her manicured hands. Sometimes karma needs a little help, and sometimes karma wears designer heels. The calls started within hours. First my sister, then my father, finally their lawyer. I let them all go to voicemail. Each message grew more desperate than the last. "This must be a mistake," my father pleaded. "We can work something out." "Whatever game you're playing," Kylie warned, "it needs to stop." The lawyer was more direct. "My clients are willing to negotiate with the new owner." I saved every message, playing them at night after Hannah went to bed. Their panic was like music, the sweetest revenge soundtrack I could have imagined. On day 7, my mother finally called. "I know you're behind this somehow," she hissed. "Your sister saw you at the restaurant." "Did she?" I examined my nails, freshly manicured, just like she always insisted proper ladies should have. How observant of her. "Stop being childish. This is our home." "Was your home," I corrected. "Now it belongs to someone else." "Who?" Her voice cracked. "Who bought it?" "You'll find out. Soon." I hung up and blocked her number. Through my apartment window, I could see the city skyline glittering. Somewhere out there, my mother was probably pacing her imported marble floors, wondering how her perfect world had crumbled so fast. The next morning, I drove Hannah to school, then headed to Curtis's office. He'd agreed to handle the property management side of things, keeping my name off the paperwork for now. "They've hired a private investigator," he said, sliding a coffee across his desk to me. "Guy came by yesterday, asking questions about the auction." "Let them waste their money." I took a sip. Everything was legal. "Legal doesn't mean easy." He leaned forward. "You sure you want to go through with the next part?" I pulled out my phone, showing him my mother's latest Facebook post. "Praying for guidance through this difficult time. Some people have no heart. Shak family, Shak faith, Shakrish strength. More sure than ever." That afternoon, I drove to my parents' house, my house now, and parked across the street. Their Mercedes was in the driveway, along with several other expensive cars. Crisis management meeting, no doubt. I straightened my designer blazer, real this time, bought with my first commission check, and grabbed my briefcase. Time for the grand reveal. The doorbell chimed inside. Footsteps approached. Multiple sets. The door opened to reveal my mother, father, sister, and what appeared to be their entire legal team. "Hello, Mother." I smiled her smile right back at her. "May I come in?" "Skylar?" My father's face went ash white. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here to inspect my property." I held up a business card, my name gleaming in gold letters, and to formally introduce myself as your new landlord. The silence was delicious. My mother's perfect makeup couldn't hide her shock. Kylie grabbed the doorframe for support. "That's impossible," one of the lawyers said. "The buyer was standing right in front of you." I stepped past them into the foyer. "Nice flowers. Peonies were always your favorite, weren't they, Mother?" "You can't afford this house," my mother finally managed. "You're a what? A disappointment? A failure?" I ran my finger along the entry table, checking for dust. "Or maybe I'm just better at managing money than you were." My father found his voice. "Why? Why?" I turned to face them all. 2 years ago, I stood on this porch with your granddaughter, begging for shelter. You had 5 empty bedrooms and 0 compassion. "We were protecting our reputation," my mother snapped. "And now, I'm protecting mine." I opened my briefcase, removing a stack of papers. "These are the new terms of your occupancy. You have 23 days left to vacate." "Or what?" Kylie challenged. "Or I'll have you forcibly removed, just like you wanted to do to me." The lawyers huddled, whispering urgently. My mother's face had gone from shocked to calculating. "How much?" she asked. "To make this go away," I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. "You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about money. This is about karma." "We're your parents," my father tried. "No." I placed the papers on their precious entry table. "You're just my tenants, and you're being evicted." I walked to the door, then turned back one last time. "Oh, and Mother? Those family photos you cropped me out of? I found the originals in your closet. They'll make excellent evidence of prior residency if you try to fight this in court." Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of victory. My phone buzzed, Ingrid sending me a picture of Hannah doing her homework at their kitchen table. "How'd it go?" she texted. I looked back at the house. Through the window, I could see my mother crumpled in her favorite armchair, my father pacing, Kylie furiously typing on her phone. The lawyers were packing up their briefcases, shaking their heads. "Better than therapy," I replied. That night, I tucked Hannah into bed with an extra tight hug. "Mama," she whispered sleepily, "are we going to live in a big house soon?" "No, baby." I kissed her forehead. "We're going to help someone else live there instead. Someone who deserves it. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't taking something away. It's giving it to someone better." The local news picked up the story faster than I expected. Prominent family faces foreclosure scandal splashed across my morning news feed, complete with a photo of my mother trying to shield her face from reporters. But that wasn't the real bombshell. "You need to see this," Curtis said, dropping a thick folder on my desk. My contact at the bank found something interesting. I opened the folder and felt my stomach drop. Credit card statements, loan applications, identity theft reports, all with my name on them. Dates ranging back to when I was 18. They used my identity? My hands shook as I flipped through the pages. All this time started right after you turned 18. Curtis pointed to the earliest application. They opened credit cards, took out personal loans, used your social security number for everything. The numbers made me dizzy. Over $100,000 in fraudulent debt, all traced back to my parents' spending habits. My phone rang. Ingrid. "Turn on Channel 7 right now." I grabbed the remote in my office and clicked it on. There was my mother, standing outside her country club, speaking to reporters. "These allegations are ridiculous," she was saying. "Our daughter is simply confused about financial matters. We've always supported her, even through her unfortunate choices." The camera panned to my father, who looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. "No comment," he muttered. hurrying to their car. Confused about financial matters? I turned to Curtis. Let's see how confused their lawyer thinks I am. I called the police first, then my own lawyer. Within hours, I was sitting in a detective's office, laying out years of financial abuse. This is clear-cut identity theft, the detective said, reviewing the documents. Multiple counts. We'll need to take statements. By evening, the story had evolved. Local socialites accused of fraud replaced the foreclosure headlines. My phone exploded with messages from old friends, distant relatives, even my high school teachers. Then came the text from my sister. Mom's having chest pains. Are you happy now? I was drafting a response when my office door burst open. My mother stood there, mascara streaked down her face, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. You wouldn't ruin your own family, would you? Her voice cracked. After everything we've done for you? Everything you've done for me? I stood up slowly. Like stealing my identity? Destroying my credit before I could even start my life? We needed to maintain our lifestyle. She threw a stack of papers on my desk. Here, documentation proving we always intended to pay it back. I picked up the papers. Loan applications, all in my name, with payment schedules that stretched into my 50s. You plan to keep me in debt for 30 years? We gave you life, she hissed. You owed us that much. I owed you nothing. I pressed the intercom button on my desk. Security. Please escort Mrs. Ortiz out. And call the detective handling my case. Tell him she just tried to deliver fraudulent evidence. You're really doing this? She straightened her spine, trying to regain her usual poise. Sending your own mother to jail? No, Mother. You sent yourself there. I'm just making sure you arrive on time. Security arrived to lead her out. As she reached the door, she turned back one last time. Your father will never recover from this, she said. His heart condition. Stop. I held up my hand. You don't get to use guilt anymore. It doesn't work on me now. After she left, I called Curtis. They tried to cover it up. Of course they did. He sighed. What's your next move? I looked at the papers my mother had brought. Her desperate attempt to hide years of theft and lies. I'm pressing charges, I said. All of them. And I'm going public with the whole story. That night, I sat Hannah down at our kitchen table. At 6, she was old enough to notice something was happening, but too young to understand the full scope. Baby, you know how Grandma and Grandpa weren't very nice to us? She nodded, munching on her dinner. That's why we couldn't stay at their house. Right. Well, they also did some bad things. They might have to go away for a while. To jail? Her eyes widened. Like in movies? Something like that. I squeezed her hand. But we're going to be okay. Better than okay. My phone buzzed. A news alert. My mother and father had been arrested, released on bail within hours. Their mugshots showed 2 people I barely recognized. Stripped of their designer clothes and social status, they looked small, ordinary, human. Kylie sent one final text. You've destroyed everything. I hope you're satisfied. I looked at my daughter, happily drawing with crayons after dinner, then at the stack of evidence that would ensure my parents faced justice. You already destroyed everything, I whispered to my phone. I'm just making sure everyone knows why. Because sometimes the truth is the best revenge of all. The house stood empty, a hollow shell of its former grandeur. My footsteps echoed through vacant rooms as I conducted the final walkthrough. My parents had moved out yesterday, leaving behind only dust and memories. You sure you want to do this alone? Curtis asked over the phone. I need to. I climbed the stairs, running my hand along the banister. Some ghosts you have to face by yourself. In my old bedroom, faded rectangles on the walls marked where posters once hung. The closet still smelled like my teenage perfume. I found an old diary hidden behind a loose baseboard, filled with dreams of escape and freedom I'd long since achieved. The master bedroom was last. I'd never been allowed in here as a child. It was my mother's sanctuary. Always locked, always private. Now I held the key. The walk-in closet was bigger than my first apartment. Empty hangers clinked together like wind chimes as I pushed them aside. In the back corner, behind a false panel I'd never known existed, I found a box. Inside were photos, hundreds of them. Me as a baby, toddler, teenager. All the original versions of pictures she'd later cropped or hidden. In some, she was actually smiling at me, looking at me with what seemed like real love. "Mama?" Hannah's voice startled me. I turned to find her and Ingrid in the doorway. "Sorry," Ingrid said. She wanted to see the house before... "Before what?" Hannah asked, looking around the empty room. I wiped my eyes quickly. "Before we give it to someone special." That afternoon, I met Trinity Johnson in my office. A single mother of two, recently divorced, struggling to find affordable housing. Her application had stood out among dozens. "I don't understand," she said, staring at the lease terms. "This can't be right. The rent is 48% below market value," I confirmed, "with an option to buy after 2 years. But why?" I showed her pictures of the house. "Because 2 years ago, I was where you are now. Someone could have helped me, but chose not to. I'm choosing differently." Trinity started crying. Her youngest daughter, about Hannah's age, hugged her leg. "There's just one condition," I added. "The house needs to be filled with love. Real love. Not the kind that comes with conditions." "We can do that," Trinity whispered. "We can definitely do that." Later, I stood on the front porch, watching Trinity and her daughters explore their new home. Their laughter echoed through the rooms where silence had ruled for so long. My phone buzzed. A news alert. My parents' plea deal had been finalized. No jail time, but significant fines and community service. Their social standing was destroyed, their country club membership revoked. For them, that was probably worse than prison. "Miss Schuyler?" Trinity called from inside. "Could you come here a minute?" I found them in the kitchen. The girls had discovered the height marks on the wall where my father used to measure me and Kylie. "Should we paint over these?" Trinity asked. I touched the highest mark, dated just before I'd gotten pregnant with Hannah. "No, keep them. Add your own. This house should have a history of children growing up loved." "Even after everything they did to you?" I pulled out the box of photos I'd found. They weren't always monsters. Sometimes they were just people who forgot how to love properly. I handed her the box. "Maybe put these somewhere safe. Someday Hannah might want to know where she came from." Trinity hugged me suddenly. "Thank you. Not just for the house, but for showing my girls what strength looks like." That evening, I sat on the porch steps one last time. The setting sun painted the windows gold, just like when I was little. Hannah played with Trinity's daughters in the yard, their shadows long in the fading light. My phone buzzed. A text from Kylie. "Mom and Dad are staying with me. They've lost everything. I hope you're satisfied." I watched Hannah chase fireflies with her new friends, her laughter carrying across the lawn. Trinity was in the kitchen window, cooking dinner, dancing to music I couldn't hear. "They didn't lose everything," I texted back. "They lost what they valued most, their image. But they never valued what really mattered." I blocked her number before she could respond. Some conversations weren't worth having anymore. "Mama!" Hannah called. "Come catch fireflies with us." I joined the girls in the yard, showing them how to cup their hands gently around the glowing insects before letting them go. Trinity brought out lemonade and cookies. We all sat on the porch, watching darkness fall and lights come on in windows that would never again hide secrets or shame. "Are you sad?" Hannah asked quietly. "No, baby." I kissed her head. "I'm free. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying what hurt you. Sometimes it's about creating something beautiful from the ruins." I left my childhood home for the last time that night, but I didn't look back. The laughter behind me was all the future I needed to hear. The morning sun streams through my office window as I review applications for the newest property in my portfolio. Each folder tells a story of struggle, hope, and determination. Single parents, domestic violence survivors, families one paycheck away from homelessness. "Your 9 o'clock is here," my assistant calls through the intercom. I look up to see a familiar face in my doorway. My mother. She's thinner now, her designer clothes replaced by department store brands. The community service vest she's required to wear clashes with her carefully applied makeup. "5 minutes," she says, holding up her hands. "That's all I'm asking for." I gesture to the chair across from my desk. She sits, smoothing her skirt with trembling hands. "I saw the article about your housing initiative," she begins. "Helping single mothers, providing below-market rentals. It's admirable. Thank you." I keep my voice neutral. "Was that all? Your father had another heart episode last week." She pulls out her phone, shows me hospital photos. He keeps asking about Hannah. "Hannah is doing fine." I turn a framed photo on my desk, my daughter's latest school picture. She made honor roll this semester. My mother's eyes linger on the photo. "She looks just like you did at that age." "She's nothing like me at that age," I correct her. "She knows she's loved, unconditionally." The silence stretches between us, heavy with unspoken words. Finally, she reaches into her purse and pulls out an envelope. "What's this?" I ask. "Proof that I've completed anger management, family therapy, financial counseling." Her voice cracks. "I'm trying, Skylar. I know it doesn't erase anything, but I'm trying." Before I can respond, my office door bursts open. Hannah runs in, followed by an apologetic Ingrid. "Sorry," Ingrid says. "She couldn't wait to show you her test score." Hannah stops short when she sees my mother. They've never officially met, though Hannah's seen her picture in those old photos. "Is this—" Hannah looks at me uncertainly. My mother stands slowly, pressing her hands together to stop their shaking. "Hello, Hannah. I'm Victoria." Hannah glances at me again. I nod slightly, letting her make her own choice. "I got an A on my math test," Hannah announces, holding up her paper. "Want to see?" The next few minutes are awkward but civil. My mother praises Hannah's work, answers her curious questions about the photos in my office. I watch them interact, feeling something shift inside me. Not forgiveness exactly, but perhaps understanding. "We should go," my mother says finally. "Thank you for the time." At the door, she turns back. "That house, the one you took from us. I drive by sometimes. The family there, they seem happy." They are. I think of Trinity's last update, her oldest starting college, her youngest learning piano in the room that used to be my prison. They're making it what it always should have been. "A home," she whispers. After she leaves, Ingrid raises an eyebrow. "You okay?" "Actually, yes." I pull up the applications on my computer. "Help me pick the next family?" We spend the afternoon reviewing stories, making calls, changing lives. Curtis stops by with renovation plans for our latest project, converting an old apartment building into affordable housing units. "Your empire grows," he jokes. "Not an empire," I correct him. "A revolution." That evening, Hannah and I have dinner on our duplex porch. She's unusually quiet, pushing food around her plate. "What's on your mind, baby?" "That lady today, Victoria? She's really my grandmother?" I nod. "Will she hurt us like before?" "No." I set down my fork. "She can't hurt us anymore. We're too strong now." "Can she be nice instead?" I think about the envelope of certificates, the trembling hands, the department store clothes. Maybe. But that's her work to do, not ours. Hannah considers this, then brightens. "Like how Trinity's family made the old house nice again." Exactly like that. Later, after Hannah's asleep, I sit with my laptop, updating my website. The tagline reads, "Second Chances Housing Initiative, because everyone deserves a home." My phone buzzes. A text from Trinity. "Girls made honor roll too. House is full of celebration tonight." I smile, remembering all those nights in my car, dreaming of revenge. I got it, but not in the way I'd expected. Instead of destroying my past, I'd built something better, a future where other families wouldn't face what I did. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I made sure mine was furnished, child-safe, and 48% below market value. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't about getting even. It's about making sure no one else has to.
I stared at my reflection in the polished silver serving spoon, watching my face distort like a funhouse mirror, while my sister Paige's words hung in the air. "Oh, please, what would you know about sacrifice? You've never even had kids." "My name is Harmony, and I've spent the last 6 months eating ramen noodles so my niece can go to college. Not that anyone at this table knows that." "Pass the potatoes," I mumbled, trying to deflect the conversation. But Paige wasn't done. "I mean, really, when was the last time you even dated someone?" She adjusted her designer watch, a gift from her second husband, Dwayne. "You're pushing 40, sis. Tick-tock." Around the massive dining table, forks clinked against plates, as our family pretended not to notice the usual dynamic unfolding. My mother Lena dabbed her mouth with a cloth napkin, while my father Henry suddenly found his green beans fascinating. "I'm actually quite happy with my life," I said quietly, though the words felt hollow even to me. "The non-profit work is rewarding." Paige rolled her eyes. "Right. Saving the world one do-gooder project at a time. Meanwhile, some of us are building real careers and families." She gestured around her newly renovated dining room, all chrome and marble. "Speaking of which, did you see Oakley's new playroom?" On cue, her 7-year-old son burst into the room wielding an iPad Pro. "Mommy, can I show Aunt Harmony my new gaming setup?" "Of course, sweetie," Paige cooed, then stage whispered to me. "It's the latest model. Dwayne spoils him, but he deserves it. He's reading at a 5th grade level already." I nodded, thinking about the electricity bill I'd just gotten for my studio apartment, the one I couldn't pay because I'd transferred every spare penny to Emma's tuition account. Emma, Paige's eldest, caught my eye from across the table. At 18, she looked so much like her mother, but there was a gentleness in her features that Paige had lost somewhere between her first divorce and her second marriage. "Aunt Harmony helped me with my English paper last week," Emma offered. "She's really good at editing." "That's nice, honey," Paige dismissed, "but you should really be focusing on practical skills, like business or law, something that actually pays." My mother finally spoke up. "Paige has a point, dear. We worry about you, all alone in that tiny apartment. Teaching underprivileged kids to read is noble, but it doesn't buy a house," I finished for her. "I know. Or attract a husband," Paige added with a smirk. "I mean, what kind of man wants a woman who can barely support herself?" I gripped my fork tighter, thinking about the second job I'd picked up tutoring after hours, about the spreadsheet on my laptop tracking every penny I'd managed to scrape together for Emma's education, about the letter from Harvard sitting in my email inbox, waiting to be printed and signed. "I managed just fine," I said. "Really?" Paige leaned forward. "Because I drove past your building last week. That neighborhood isn't exactly screaming, successful adult. More like, gave up on life." Emma's face flushed red. She knew what I'd given up, what I was still giving up. "Paige," our father warned half-heartedly. "That's enough." "What? I'm concerned about my baby sister? She's not getting any younger, and let's be honest, she's never been exactly maternal material. Remember when she killed that houseplant I gave her?" "It was a plastic plant," I muttered. "And you knew that when you gave it to me." The table erupted in laughter, except for Emma, who stared at her plate. I could see her hands shaking slightly. "Don't be so sensitive," Paige chided. "We're just trying to help. Right, Mum?" "We just want you to be happy, dear," my mother sighed. "Like your sister." I looked around at my sister's perfect house, with its perfect furniture and perfectly miserable secrets. At my parents who never saw past the surface. At Emma, who deserved so much better than all of this. I am happy, I said. And for the first time that evening, I meant it. Because I knew something they didn't. In 6 months, Emma would be walking through Harvard Yard, her head held high, while Paige's carefully constructed world of appearances crumbled around her designer shoes. Sometimes the best revenge isn't saying anything at all. More wine, Paige offered, already filling my glass without waiting for an answer. You look like you need it. Must be stressful, living paycheck to paycheck. I smiled and raised the glass. To family, I said. Emma caught my eye again and gave me the tiniest nod. Soon, I thought. Soon they'd all know what real sacrifice looked like. But for now, I just took another bite of overcooked pot roast and let them think they knew me. Let them think they'd won. They had no idea what was coming. 6 months earlier, I was grading papers at my tiny kitchen table when my phone buzzed. Emma's text was simple. Can I come over, please? 20 minutes later, she sat across from me, clutching a stack of papers. Her eyes were red, and her hands trembled as she spread the documents across my scratched IKEA table. I got in, she whispered. Not just to one, to all of them. Her fingers traced over the letterheads. Harvard, Yale, Columbia, Brown. Emma? That's incredible. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Mum won't help me, she said, her voice cracking. I told her about the acceptances, and she laughed. My heart sank. What exactly did she say? She said I deliberately betrayed her by applying to schools she didn't approve of, that I knew she wanted me to go to state school, where her friends' kids go, where she could show me off at local alumni events. Emma's shoulders shook. She said if I wanted to ruin my life with liberal arts dreams, I could pay for it myself. I stood up and put the kettle on, a habit I'd picked up from my mother, ironically, making tea for difficult conversations. Did you show these to your dad? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Emma's father had disappeared years ago, leaving nothing but a trail of unpaid child support. Mum said she won't even let him co-sign loans if he offers. Not that he would. Emma pulled out another paper, a financial aid letter. I got some scholarships, but there's still a huge gap. Like, huge. I set 2 mugs of chamomile tea on the table and studied the numbers. My stomach clenched. The remaining cost per semester was more than I made in 3 months. What about Dwayne? I suggested. He seems to throw money around pretty freely. Emma's laugh was bitter. Mum said, and I quote, Dwayne's money is for Oakley's future. You had your chance to be reasonable. I watched my niece, this brilliant, determined young woman, crumple in on herself, and something inside me hardened into resolve. Let me think about this, I said carefully. There might be a way. Emma looked up sharply. Aunt Harmony, no. I know you don't have money. Mum makes sure everyone knows that. I opened my laptop and pulled up my banking app. I have some savings, and my credit is good. I could... Stop. Emma stood up so quickly her chair scraped against the floor. I won't let you destroy yourself for me. I've seen your apartment. I know you're already struggling. Sit down. I waited until she did. Do you know why I work at the nonprofit? She shook her head. Because every day I get to help people who society has written off, people who just need one person to believe in them. I reached across the table and grabbed her hand. You're not a lost cause, Emma. You're an investment. Mum says, your mother, I interrupted, is afraid of anything she can't control, including you becoming more successful than she is. Tears spilled down Emma's cheeks. I can't pay you back. Not for years. I don't want you to pay me back. I want you to succeed. To prove her wrong. I started typing numbers into a spreadsheet. But you have to promise me something. Anything. Don't tell her. Don't tell anyone. Let her think you figured it out on your own. I looked up from the screen. Can you do that? Emma nodded slowly. But why? Why help me in secret? I thought about all the family dinners, all the snide comments, all the times Paige had made sure I knew I was less than her. Because sometimes the best revenge is letting people believe they've won, right until the moment they realize they've lost everything. 3 months later, I handed Emma an envelope containing the first semester's tuition payment. We stood in my apartment, surrounded by the moving boxes she'd secretly packed while Paige was at yoga. "I don't deserve this," she whispered, holding the envelope like it might disappear. "You deserve everything," I corrected her, "and more. How did you even get this much money?" I thought about my sold car, my emptied retirement account, the 3 extra tutoring clients I'd taken on. "Don't worry about that. Just promise me you'll work hard." Emma hugged me fiercely. "I will. I'll make you proud. You already have." I pulled back and wiped her tears. "Now go. Your mother thinks you're at the library." As Emma left, I sat down at my kitchen table and looked at my new budget. Ramen noodles, generic everything. No heat except when absolutely necessary. It would be a hard few years. But watching my sister's carefully constructed facade crack when she realized her daughter had outsmarted her, that would be priceless. I picked up my phone and typed out a message to my friend Evan at work. "It's done. First payment sent." His reply came quickly. "You're either crazy or brilliant. Maybe both." I smiled and wrote back, "Maybe, but crazy gets things done." "You look terrible," Evan said, dropping a coffee on my desk. "When's the last time you slept?" I glanced at the clock. 7:30 a.m. I'd been at the office since 5 catching up on grant proposals before my first tutoring session at 4 p.m. "Sleep is for people who don't have tuition payments due," I mumbled, reaching for the coffee. "Speaking of which..." Evan pulled up a chair and lowered his voice. "Did you see Paige's latest Facebook post?" I shook my head. I'd muted my sister months ago, right after Emma left for college. He pulled out his phone and showed me. Paige, beaming in front of a sold sign, caption reading, "Just closed on our vacation home. So blessed to provide amazing opportunities for our little Prince Oakley, while to blessed, while successful mom, while living my best life." Guess who she tagged in the comments? Evan scrolled down. "So sad some people will never know the joy of providing for their children." "Right, sis?" My stomach churned. "She's trying to get a reaction." "She's trying to hurt you," Evan corrected. "And meanwhile, you're working yourself to death to put her daughter through Harvard." I opened my spreadsheet, the one tracking every payment, every extra job, every penny scraped together. 3 more semesters, I can do this." "Harmony," Evan's voice was serious, "you're not eating. Your clothes are hanging off you, and yesterday I saw you calculating if you could sell your blood plasma." "It's good money," I defended weakly. "This is insane." He gestured at my desk, covered in tutoring schedules and consulting contracts. "Let me help. Let us help." "Us?" "The office. We care about you. We see what you're doing, what you're sacrificing." I shook my head firmly. "No, this stays private." "Why? Because your sister's spreading rumours about how you're lazy and irresponsible with money? Because your parents believe her?" My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "Saw Paige's new house. Maybe if you'd made better choices?" I turned the phone face down. "Emma's doing amazing. She made Dean's List her first semester. And you're killing yourself to keep her there." Evan leaned forward and pointed at my spreadsheet. "I saw the total, Harmony. $120,000. That's not noble anymore. That's martyrdom." "What would you have me do? Let Emma give up her dreams because her mother is a narcissist?" "No." He stood up. "I'd have you let people who care about you help carry the load." "I can't..." "You can't what? Accept help? Like you're teaching Emma to do?" He walked to the door, then turned back. "You know this is a war, right? You're just dropping bombs no one's seen yet." After he left, I opened Emma's latest email. She'd attached photos of her dorm room, her new friends, her first A+ paper. She looked happy, free. My phone buzzed again. Another family group text. This time from Paige. "Having a small dinner party next week. Only successful people invited, so don't worry about it, sis." I started to type a response, then deleted it. Let her have her parties. Let her post her photos. Let her think she'd won. My office door opened again. This time it was Maria from accounting. "Hey," she said softly. "We're taking up a collection. For that after-school program you're always talking about." I knew there was no after-school program. I knew Evan had told them, but I also knew they were offering help in the only way I might accept it. "That's really kind," I managed. "We all believe in education here. she said meaningfully, in helping young people reach their potential, no matter what it takes. That night, I sat in my cold apartment. Heat was a luxury I couldn't afford, and updated my spreadsheet. A new column caught my eye. Office collection, $6,000. Tears blurred my vision as I read Evan's note at the bottom. We're not doing this out of pity. We're doing it because you taught us what integrity looks like. My phone buzzed one more time. Emma. Mum's bragging about her new house. Says I could have had a room there if I'd chosen family over rebellion. I replied, how's that paper on Shakespeare coming? Got an A. Professor says I should consider graduate school. You should. But the money? Let me worry about that. I could almost hear her protest through the phone. Aunt Harmony. Trust me, I typed. Some things are worth every sacrifice. I looked at my bare apartment, my empty fridge, my stack of tutoring materials, then at the photo of Emma on my desk, smiling in front of Harvard Yard. Evan was right. This was a war. But wars aren't always won with dramatic battles. Sometimes they're won with quiet persistence, with hidden strength, with letting your enemy think they're invincible right up until the moment they fall. And Paige? She had no idea she was already falling. The Instagram notification made my phone buzz during my lunch break. Paige posted, living my best life in Barcelona. Try blessed try luxury travel. The photo showed my sister lounging by an infinity pool, designer sunglasses perched on her nose, champagne flute in hand. The caption continued, some people save for retirement. I save for memories. She's really something, Evan said, peering over my shoulder at the break room table. Didn't she just buy that vacation house? Dwayne's money, I muttered, scrolling through the comments. Mum, so proud of my successful girl, living the dream. Dad, that's my princess. Paige's reply. Thanks, Mum and Dad. Some of us know how to make you proud. I set the phone down and unwrapped my peanut butter sandwich, the same lunch I'd eaten for months now. The memory of my own parents' rejection surfaced unbidden. We can't help with grad school, Mum had said 5 years ago. Paige needs our support more. She has children to think about. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Emma. Did you see Mum's posts? Hard to miss, I replied. She's spending my college fund on that trip, the one she saved for me all these years. Just found the empty account statements in her office. My hands shook as I typed, Are you okay? I'm fine, but I want to tell everyone at Thanksgiving. About you. About everything. Emma, no. I have proof. I've kept a journal, every nasty comment, every manipulation, and I have the bank statements showing how she drained my account. Before I could respond, another message popped up. I also have something else to tell you. I got into a summer program at Harvard, full scholarship this time. I did it on my own. Pride and relief flooded through me. That's amazing. There's more, she typed. I met someone. His name is Ezra. He's in my literature class. He knows everything about Mom, about you. He says I need to stop protecting her. Evan sat down across from me. Everything okay? You look pale. I showed him the messages. Smart girl, he said. The truth was going to come out eventually. But Thanksgiving? The whole family will be there. Exactly. He smiled grimly. Maximum impact. Your sister's been building her house of cards for years. Maybe it's time for a strong wind. My phone chimed with an email notification. From Harvard. Congratulations on your outstanding academic performance. I read aloud, hands trembling. Emma made Dean's List. Again. While her mother drinks champagne in Barcelona, Evan noted. Paid for with her college fund. I opened Instagram again. Paige had posted another photo, this time of her new kitchen remodel. Because every queen needs her castle. Sorry not sorry for living my best life while others waste their money on noble causes. The comments poured in. You deserve it all, queen. Such an inspiration. Foul boss mom. Some people just don't understand success. Emma texted again. I'm bringing Ezra to Thanksgiving. And my journal. And the acceptance letter. And every bank statement. I'm done pretending. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Are you sure? More sure than I've ever been. Mum needs to know that money isn't everything. That what you did, what you sacrificed, That's real success. Evan read over my shoulder. She's right, you know. It'll destroy Paige. No, he corrected. It'll expose Paige. There's a difference. I thought about my sister's carefully curated life, built on appearances and other people's money, about my parents' blind devotion to her facade, about Emma, watching it all, taking notes, waiting. My phone buzzed one final time. Emma had sent a photo, her and a kind-faced young man, both smiling in front of a library. This is Ezra. He says hi, and he says to tell you that sometimes the quiet ones win in the end. I saved the photo, then turned back to my sandwich. In 2 weeks, we'd all sit down for Thanksgiving dinner at Paige's showcase home. She'd brag about Barcelona, about Oakley's achievements, about her perfect life, and then her carefully constructed world would crumble, not with a bang, but with the quiet turning of journal pages, with bank statements and truth and a daughter's clear voice saying, "Enough." I texted Emma back, "Whatever you decide to do, I'm with you." Her response was immediate. "I know, you always have been. That's why I'm doing this, because someone needs to show them what real love looks like." I closed my eyes and saw it all. The coming storm, the shocked faces, the unravelling of years of lies. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid, because Emma was right. Sometimes love doesn't look like infinity pools and designer sunglasses. Sometimes it looks like peanut butter sandwiches and empty bank accounts and a quiet aunt who gave up everything for someone else's dreams. And sometimes Karma arrives wearing a Harvard sweatshirt, carrying a well-worn journal full of truth. Thanksgiving morning arrived with a thin layer of frost on my windshield and knots in my stomach. I'd chosen my plainest sweater and most sensible shoes. No point giving Paige extra ammunition today. The drive to her house felt longer than usual. My phone kept buzzing with family messages. Mum, "Don't forget Paige is gluten-free now." Paige, "Starting dinner at 4 sharp. Try to be on time for once." Dad, "Excited to see everyone." I pulled into the circular driveway behind a sleek black Tesla. Must be Ezra's car. Emma had mentioned his family had money, but unlike Paige, he never flaunted it. Before I could ring the doorbell, Emma threw the door open and pulled me into a fierce hug. "You look tired," she whispered. "Are you eating enough?" "Says the college student living on ramen," I deflected. A tall young man appeared behind her, dressed in a simple button-down shirt and khakis. "You must be Aunt Harmony," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Ezra. Emma's told me everything about you." "Not everything," Emma corrected, patting her bag meaningfully. I caught a glimpse of a worn leather journal inside. "Emma!" Paige's voice rang out from the kitchen. "Is that your aunt? Remind her to wipe her feet. We just had the floors redone." Emma rolled her eyes and led us inside. The house smelled of turkey and tension. My mother was arranging flowers in the dining room. "Oh, Harmony dear, that's an interesting sweater choice." "Thanks, Mum." "Emma darling." Paige emerged from the kitchen, wearing a designer apron that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "Aren't you going to introduce us to your friend?" "Boyfriend," Emma corrected firmly. "This is Ezra. He's pre-law at Harvard." Paige's smile tightened. "How nice, though I always pictured you with someone more." She glanced at Ezra's simple clothes. He's fashion-forward. "Not everyone measures worth by designer labels, Mum." My phone buzzed. "Evan. Backup support standing by. Let me know if you need anything." Before I could reply, my father walked in with Oakley, both carrying iPads. "Look what Grandpa got me," Oakley announced. "It's the newest one." "Another one?" Emma muttered under her breath. "Well, some children deserve rewards," Paige said pointedly, "when they follow family expectations." I watched Emma's hand tighten around her bag. Ezra placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. The doorbell rang again. Dwayne, returning from his golf game. He barely acknowledged anyone before heading upstairs to change. "Dinner in 20, Paige called out. "Emma, help me in the kitchen. Harmony, just try not to touch anything expensive." As soon as Paige and Emma disappeared into the kitchen, my phone rang. It was Evan. "Hey." I stepped onto the back patio to take the call. "Everything okay?" "Just checking in. Also, Remember that collection we took up? It's grown. We're up to $6,000 now. Tears pricked my eyes. Evan, the whole office believes in what you're doing, in who you are. His voice softened. Don't let them make you feel small today. Back inside, everyone was gathering around the dining table. Emma caught my eye as I sat down, then leaned close to whisper. I brought the acceptance letter and the journal. My heart raced. Are you sure about this? She squeezed my hand under the table. More sure than I've ever been. Paige swept in with the turkey, beaming at her perfect table setting. Before we begin, I'd just like to say how blessed I am to have such a successful life. My beautiful home, my perfect Oakley, my supportive husband. Your Barcelona trip? Emma added innocently. Yes. Speaking of which, who wants to see pictures? As Paige pulled out her phone to show off her luxury vacation, I watched Emma exchange a look with Ezra. He nodded slightly. Mom? Emma said clearly. Before we start, I have something to share with everyone. Paige waved her hand dismissively. After dinner, honey. Now, look at this infinity pool. No. Emma's voice was stronger now. I think everyone needs to hear this now. The room grew quiet. My mother set down her wine glass. My father stopped scrolling on his iPad. Emma! Paige's voice held a warning. This is not the time. Actually, Emma reached into her bag. This is exactly the time. I watched my niece pull out her journal, her hands steady, her eyes clear. Beside her, Ezra sat up straighter, ready to support her. Across the table, Paige's perfect smile began to crack, and I realized this wasn't just Emma's moment of truth. This was karma, served on a Thanksgiving platter with a side of long-overdue justice. The journal opened with a soft crack of leather, and the real feast was about to begin. So, Paige's voice dripped with false sweetness. How's that state college treating you, Emma? Making lots of friends at the local campus? Emma placed her Harvard acceptance letter on the table. Actually, I've been at Harvard. Dean's List both semesters. The silence was deafening. Paige's fork clattered against her plate. That's impossible, she sputtered. We discussed this. You couldn't afford... I couldn't, Emma agreed, but someone else could. She opened her journal. Someone who actually cares about my future. My mother's hand flew to her throat. Emma, dear, what are you saying? I'm saying that while Mom was posting about her Barcelona trip, paid for with my college fund, by the way. Emma's voice was steady. Aunt Harmony was working 3 jobs to put me through Harvard. Paige's face went white. That's ridiculous. She can barely afford her rent. Exactly. Emma turned a page in her journal. Should I read what you said about that, Mum? Let's see. September 15th. Mum says Harmony is an embarrassment to the family. Living in that cheap apartment, driving that old car. She looked up. The car she sold to pay for my textbooks. Emma, my father warned. That's enough. No, it's not. She continued reading. October 3rd. Mum told everyone at her dinner party that Aunt Harmony was probably going to end up homeless. They all laughed. Emma's voice cracked, while Aunt Harmony was skipping meals to save money for my tuition. Dwayne shifted uncomfortably. Paige, did you really spend Emma's college fund on that trip? Of course not. Paige reached for her wine glass. Emma's being dramatic. She's always been... I have the bank statements, Emma cut in, pulling out more papers. You transferred everything to your personal account the day after I told you about Harvard? My mother gasped. Paige, tell me you didn't... Oh, like you're any better? Emma flipped to another page. November 20th. Grandma says Aunt Harmony is just jealous of Mum's success, that she should have tried harder in life. She turned to our mother. Do you know what trying harder looks like? It looks like walking 5 miles to work because you can't afford gas. It looks like living without heat in winter. Oakley looked up from his iPad, confused. Mum, why are you crying? Because your sister is being very cruel, Paige said, her voice shaking. Making up stories. They're not stories. Emma pulled out her phone. I have pictures of Aunt Harmony's empty fridge, of the pawn shop receipt when she sold her boyfriend's guitar, the only thing she had left of him, to pay for my midterms. The room spun as everyone turned to stare at me. I hadn't known Emma had documented so much. You Paige pointed a trembling finger at me. You did this on purpose. Turn my daughter against me. No, Ezra spoke up for the first time. Your daughter just finally saw the truth. We all did. And who are you to judge my family? Paige snapped. I'm someone who knows what real love looks like, he replied calmly. It looks like sacrifice, like putting someone else's dreams before your own comfort. Emma wasn't done. She pulled out one final paper, a text message screenshot. Here's what finally made me decide to speak up. Mum's text from last week. Emma deserves to struggle like the rest of us. It builds character. Paige's wineglass slipped from her hand, spreading red across the white tablecloth like blood. While you were building character in Barcelona, Emma's voice was ice. Aunt Harmony's co-workers took up a collection to help with my tuition. People who barely know me showed more love than my own mother. Traitor, Paige whispered, her mascara running. You stole her from me. I finally found my voice. No, Paige, you pushed her away, all by yourself. I gave her everything. You gave her things, I corrected. Designer clothes, expensive toys. But when she needed support, real support, you chose spite. My father stood up, his face red. Now, see here. No, Dad. Emma closed her journal. For once, you're going to listen to every cruel word, every manipulation, every lie. Because that's what family dinner is for, right? Telling the truth? Paige pushed back from the table, chairs scraping against hardwood. I won't sit here and be attacked in my own home. Then leave, Emma said simply. Run away, like you always do when the truth gets too loud. The silence that followed was broken only by Oakley's quiet sniffles and the steady drip of wine from the tablecloth to the floor. My mother reached for Paige's hand. Darling, surely there's been some mistake. The only mistake, Emma stood up, gathering her evidence, was thinking money could cover up who you really are, Mom. But don't worry, I learned something valuable from all this. She smiled sadly. I learned that sometimes the richest people are the ones who give away everything they have. Paige's face contorted. You'll regret this, she hissed, grabbing Oakley's arm. All of you will regret this. As she stormed out, dragging her crying son behind her, Emma turned to me and whispered, I brought the acceptance letter. And the journal. I couldn't help but smile through my tears. I know, sweetie, I know. The sound of Paige's heels clicking on hardwood echoed through the house as she stormed back in, Oakley still sniffling behind her. No, she seethed. You don't get to sit there looking righteous. Not in my house. Paige, Dwayne started. Maybe we should... Shut up, she whirled on him. This is between me and my manipulative sister who turned my daughter against me. I stood up slowly. Is that what you think happened? I know exactly what happened, Paige spat. You were jealous, always have been, of my success, my family, my life, so you poisoned Emma's mind with your poverty porn story. Emma slammed her journal down. Want to hear more stories, Mum? How about March 12th? Mum told Aunt Harmony she should be sterilised since she'd make a terrible mother anyway. I was joking, Paige protested. April 23rd, Emma continued. Mum bought another designer bag while telling everyone Aunt Harmony probably sells drugs to afford food. That's enough, my father interrupted. No, I said quietly. Let's tell the whole truth. You want to know how I afforded Emma's tuition, Paige. I sold everything I owned. I worked 90-hour weeks. I lived on ramen and dollar store coffee. Nobody asked you to. I pawned Mum's wedding ring, I cut in. The one she gave me when I turned 30, said it would help me find a husband someday. I turned to our mother. It paid for Emma's chemistry textbooks. Mum's face crumpled. Harmony, I didn't know. Of course you didn't. You were too busy celebrating Paige's new kitchen remodel. You had no right, Paige screamed. She's my daughter. Then act like it, I shouted back, surprising everyone, including myself. While you were in Barcelona, I was helping her apply for scholarships. While you were buying Oakley his third iPad, I was skipping meals to afford her dorm deposit. Dwayne stood up. Paige, did you really spend Emma's college fund? Stay out of this. No, he said firmly. I want to know, because I've been writing checks for Oakley's future, thinking Emma was taken care of. Emma pulled out the bank statements. Want to see where it went, Dwayne? Designer clothes, spa weekends, first-class tickets to Europe. Paige lunged for the papers, but Ezra smoothly moved them out of reach. You ungrateful little... Paige started. Grateful? I stepped between them. She worked 2 campus jobs while maintaining Dean's List. She earned a summer research position. She did everything right, Paige. Everything you should have been proud of. I would have been proud if she'd followed my plans. Your plans? Emma laughed bitterly. You mean like State University, where you could show me off at alumni events? Where I could join your sorority and marry someone you approved of? I wanted what was best for you. No, I said softly. You wanted what was best for your image. The room fell silent except for the sound of Paige's ragged breathing. You know what the worst part is? Emma's voice broke. I kept thinking you'd change. Every time Aunt Harmony helped me, I thought, Mum will come around. She'll see I'm doing well and be proud. Paige's mascara-stained face twisted. Proud? Of what? Of betraying your family? Family? I laughed. You want to talk about family? Let me tell you about family, Paige. Family is Emma calling me crying because you laughed at her Harvard acceptance letter. Family is me selling my car and walking 5 miles to work in the rain. Family is my co-workers, people who barely know Emma, pooling their money to help her succeed. I gave her everything. You gave her things, Emma corrected. Aunt Harmony gave me a future. My mother finally spoke up, her voice small. Why didn't you tell us you needed help, Harmony? Would you have believed me? Over your perfect daughter? Dad shifted uncomfortably. We could have what? I turned to him. Could have helped like you did when I wanted to go to grad school. Oh wait, you gave that money to Paige for her first wedding instead. Paige's face went from rage to something else. Fear. Because for the first time, everyone was seeing the truth. The carefully constructed image was cracking, and behind it was nothing but spite and selfishness. Get out, she whispered. All of you, get out of my house. Gladly, Emma stood, gathering her papers. But first, let me read one last entry, the one that started it all. She opened the journal one final time. Mum says Emma deserves to struggle like the rest of us. She'll regret choosing her own path. Emma closed the journal and looked directly at Paige. You're right, Mum. I did choose my path. I chose truth over appearances, love over money, and Aunt Harmony over you. As we walked out, leaving Paige standing in her perfect house with her perfect lies crumbling around her, I heard Dwayne ask quietly, What else have you been lying about? The last thing I saw was Oakley tugging on his mother's designer dress, asking, Mum, why does everyone look so sad? But Paige had no answer. For once in her life, she had nothing left to say. The morning after Thanksgiving, I woke to sunlight streaming through my apartment windows, and a note slipped under my door. Emma's handwriting. Stayed at Ezra's last night. Couldn't face Mum. But I needed to tell you something. Thank you for saving my life. Love, Emma. My phone buzzed. Evan calling. Hey, I answered, voice still rough with sleep. Happy day after Thanksgiving. How are you holding up? Before I could answer, another call beeped through. My mother. I should take this, I told Evan. Want me to come over later? Maybe. Let me see how this goes. I switched calls. Hi, Mum. Harmony. Her voice was different, smaller somehow. I've been up all night thinking about everything. About you, about Emma, about... She took a shaky breath. About how wrong we were. I sat down on my worn couch saying nothing. Your father and I, we enabled Paige, believed her lies because they were prettier than the truth. She paused. Dwayne left last night, took Oakley to his mother's, said he needed time to think about who he really married. Mum. No, let me finish. I found your old grad school application, the one you wanted us to help with. I wrote a check this morning. I know you don't need it anymore, but I need to do it, to start making things right. My phone buzzed with a text. Emma. Ezra's parents want to meet you. They say anyone who sacrifices everything for education deserves to be celebrated. Mum, I said gently, it was never about the money. I know that now. She was crying. It was about love, real love, the kind Paige never understood. Another text came through, from my father. I'm sorry, for everything, for not seeing you. Then another from Evan. Office wants to throw Emma a celebration party. They say their investment in her future needs proper recognition. Harmony? Mum's voice pulled me back. Can we start over? Try to be the parents you deserved? Before I could answer, there was a knock at my door. Through the peephole, I saw Emma and Ezra, holding coffee and breakfast bags. Mum, I need to go, but yes, we can try. I opened the door to Emma's smile. So much brighter now, so much freer. We brought real food, she announced, holding up the bags. No more ramen for you. Your mum just called me, I said. I know, she called me too. Emma set the food down. She told me about Dwayne leaving, about how everything's falling apart for Paige. And how do you feel about that? Emma exchanged a look with Ezra. Honestly, relieved. Like maybe now she'll have to face who she really is. My phone kept buzzing with messages, from co-workers, from family members, from people who had witnessed Paige's cruelty over the years, and finally felt free to speak up. You know what's funny? Emma said, unpacking breakfast sandwiches. Mum always said success was about appearances, about having the biggest house, the most expensive things. She smiled. But real success is sitting in a tiny apartment with the people who truly love you, eating breakfast sandwiches and knowing you did the right thing. Ezra raised his coffee cup. To doing the right thing. To truth, Emma added. To family, I finished. The real kind. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Paige. You'll regret this. All of it. I showed it to Emma, who took my phone and typed back. No, Mum? The only regret here is yours, for choosing pride over love, for missing out on knowing what real family looks like. She handed my phone back just as another knock came at the door. This time it was Evan, carrying more food and wearing a huge grin. The office wouldn't let me come empty-handed, he explained. They say proper revenge should be celebrated with proper breakfast. It wasn't revenge, I said softly. It was justice. Emma hugged me suddenly, fiercely. It was love, she whispered. The kind that changes lives. We all squeezed around my small table, Emma, Ezra, Evan, and me. The morning sun caught the Harvard pin on Emma's jacket, making it shine. Outside, the world was moving on. Paige was facing the consequences of her choices. My parents were beginning their long journey toward redemption. But here, in this moment, something else was happening. Something beautiful and true and right. Next semester's tuition is covered, Emma announced. I got a full scholarship. They said my essay about you convinced them. What did you write? Evan asked. Emma smiled, tears in her eyes. The truth, about how sometimes the strongest people are the quietest. How real love doesn't need designer labels. How one person's sacrifice can change everything. She reached for my hand across the table. How my aunt taught me that revenge isn't about destroying someone else's life. It's about building your own, brick by brick, truth by truth, love by love. And sitting there, surrounded by the family we chose, I finally understood. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living well, loving deeply and letting the truth speak for itself.